Hello everybody, welcome to another Enigma Mode live stream. Today, unlike last time, I am actually going to be playing on a Path of Magic. And we're going to be doing some very basic, normal Valheim things. I'm not going to just randomly go off and start developing something else. Once I'm able to connect, then we'll be working on a kitchen remodel. But I see that maybe... Is the server down? Give me a moment here. Let's see what's going on. At 11:30, should have started up again. Okay, it should be there. Let me just see. Maybe I'm having an internet issue. Today's maintenance, so maybe I just didn't turn it back on after maintenance. Let's see. Bum ba bum. All right, the server is running. That's always a good start. But what does the console say? Ah, the console is full of red. I see. Ah, okay, so... Yeah, basically, the server's hung. That's okay. So I just need to restart it. I hope you're all having a good day, by the way. I've been working a lot on new things on Enigma. And also on YouTube. And for me, what I have to sort of focus on now is getting a better balance. Because I really love developing. If you haven't been able to tell, I like developing maybe too much, to be honest. And it makes it a little bit problematic to do other things in life sometimes. But now I'm getting better at balancing it because YouTube is really, really important. And what I had to do is make more like relatable YouTube tutorials. I have to do that on a more recurring, frequent basis. So now I got a whole bunch of ideas to do that and a couple tutorials already made and some things scheduled. And I'm getting more used to it. So I'm feeling more optimistic about being able to manage all of the different components now. Definitely take some practice. I mean, running the server alone is its own thing to learn. And then also developing Enigma, there's constant things I can try and do better and improve upon. Makes sense? There's like always more to do when it comes to Enigma development. So I'm set for like 2 years. I won't run out of anything to do. But I can't just develop Enigma because developing Enigma doesn't make any money at all. In fact, I lose money. So I have to do things to earn money so that I have the time available to actually develop in Enigma mode. Make sense? Here, I'll just restart my client. I just restarted the server, so sometimes if you're still logged into the same session after you restart, it causes some problems. So you have to exit and then join again. And then it should work because now the server's fine. It doesn't have any errors. It's just because earlier I was running maintenance and yeah, something's wrong with my maintenance setup. So basically the server was getting hung and then needed to be restarted and blah, 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 blah. But now it should be good. Let's see. Ba-da-ba-da-boom, ba-da-boom. I'm excited today as well because I've been doing very heady stuff in Valheim, stuff that's very complicated, things that you have to think a lot about, like Valheim progression and do all of these things. But sometimes I just want to chill and like play normally. Why am I having problems joining? Ah, I see, because... Ah, okay. So because the server got hung earlier, it just performed a missing command that totally wrecked all the charred fortresses. It does this deletion step before respawning the charred forts. And sometimes cron, if your server restarts right after a cron command runs, cron will think that the command hasn't run yet. And so you have to kind of keep restarting it until it forgets that it ran the command. So now that I restart it, I should just be able to restart it one more time and then it'll work. We'll see though. This is actually from an old mistake I made where I spawned a bunch of extra locations, specifically the charred fortresses, but I didn't realize that you have to put locations in the center of a zone. If you put a location in, like, on the edge of two different zones, then only half of the location is going to get deleted because the location deletion system can only delete within the zone that it's in. So essentially, I had to like make a separate system to patch the mistakes that I made early on. But that's all really old. I don't think I really need that anymore, to be honest. I'm just looking at the console right now, making sure that it restarted properly, and then I'll be able to log back in. I wasn't able to log in because when the server has like loads and loads of things it's trying to delete, then basically it hangs and then you can't actually join. If that makes sense. Just waiting on the game server connected message. That means that we can join. It should be good. Game server connected. There we go. All right. Now I should just be able to join and all will be good. Sorry, by the way, those of you who were trying to play, and I didn't realize the server didn't turn back on properly after maintenance. All good, though. Bow, 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 bow. I should be able to log on. Let's see. Server. Yeah, server's good. It's not red. I guess now this is the problem I was talking about earlier. I have to refresh my client. Classic Valheim nonsense. Alright. I'm gonna get in someday, I swear. I swear. At least I found out the origin of those saving problems. Those were a huge pain, to be honest. A huge pain. But now it's all good. Everything's groovy. Now let's see if I should just be able to log in normally now. I think it'll work. Yeah, you see, usually if you see this stuff, that means that you can get into the server. 15 minutes later, let's see. Oh no, 8 minutes later. I guess that's not so bad. Oh, what's happening here? Oh, no, there we go. I tried to do the command again. God damn. Sometimes I wish there was a way to make it so cron wouldn't try to do a command that it missed. That would be great. How do I deal with this? I guess I just gotta let it do its thing. Yeah, because basically it's gonna restart and then try and do a command that makes it crash. And then yeah, it's like looping through these commands for some reason. What is going on here? This might be why. I guess I'm debugging. I thought I was going to play Valheim. I just want to play normal Valheim. God damn. But I'm debugging now. I guess that's okay. I should show you what I'm doing then. Alrighty, alrighty, alrighty. Here we go. Look at this, see? You got a fancy little menu here, and now you can see all the nonsense I'm dealing with. So basically, I turn the server on, and then it runs the charred fort deletion thing, which then makes it crash, basically. So what I need to do now is I need to turn the server off. Boop. And then I need to disable cron, and then turn the server on, and then it should just be fine. Let's see. Alright. Got my server stuff here. Give me a moment. I just need to disable the step in cron that's causing this to happen. I should probably just get rid of the deletion step. I don't think I even need it anymore because most of the forts are naturally placed. So probably I can just get rid of it completely, to be honest. Let's do that real quick. So right now you can't see it, but I'm in the cron file. I'm just commenting something out so that it doesn't happen anymore. Boom, hard resets for Charred Fortress, and then the deletion command is gonna be removed. Boom. Alright, now I save cron. Alright, that's all good. Cron saved. Now I can turn the server back on. And now, in theory, it's going to load up, turn on, and then not do this nonsense. You saw that red? Ah, the glory of server troubleshooting, eh? I hope you're all doing well, by the way. Happy Friday. I've got a lot of work to do. I'm gonna be making a bunch of YouTube videos. So, I like building in Valheim, to be honest. It's very chill. And we're gonna be working on, there's a kitchen in dire need of renovation. I actually started renovating it in the Plains town, but it didn't work. Because I ran out of time. So now I'll be able to actually renovate the kitchen, but I've already been practicing, so I think I'll be able to make some decent progress today. Probably be a shorter live stream, to be honest. Especially starting off so strong. 15 minutes of me staring, trying to log into the server. It is what it is, though. It is what it is. Nothing I can do. Alright, so server should join. It's gonna save. Game server is connected. So in theory, I could just log in now, and it'll work. Let's see. And just to reiterate, basically what I did is I disabled the part of cron that was causing the problem. And that part of cron wasn't even necessary in the first place. You don't need to like manually delete stuff before you reset it. In most cases, at least. I needed to for various other reasons. Oh, alright, what's going on? Okay. I guess, is this because I was still logged into the client? The log looks fine. No problems there. But for some reason, I can't log into the server. Alright, now the server is running world clean. Okay. But why? Ah, okay, I see. So the earlier restart, I see. So when it tries to delete the charred fortresses, it basically freezes the server, and then the server gets restarted and it goes back to its previous point. I see. Okay. This explains why things haven't been restarting properly on the server in the first place recently. Yeah, I must have made a mistake at some point when I edited something. I'll have to fix that. But now, in theory, it should work now. 8th try is a charm, right? Holy smokes. There we go. Thank goodness. Oh, okay, I don't have caps lock on, do I? Caps lock. No. Okay, cool. Okay. I want to make sure I do this properly. Oh my god. Awesome. Now I feel relieved. I didn't want to make a liar out of myself. I really do want to just play Valheim normally. Nothing fancy, no dev commands, no development, no keeping track of all the hundreds of different things that people think when they're playing for the first time. What happened here? Ah, yeah, okay, nothing got destroyed. It was just... I was in the middle of testing, and then I think I don't remember what happened, but basically, this is our kitchen. It is, I remember now, I was attacked by a pack of Loxen, and then they destroyed half the kitchen, and that motivated me to start renovating it, but now I got a bunch of nonsense here, and look, there's all these freaking chests, like, god damn it, to be honest. This playthrough in Valheim has really made me realize just how much of this game is this putting stuff away and organizing. I honestly got overwhelmed because, like, I don't have loads and loads of time to just play Valheim for a couple hours. I have to, like, be developing or be making YouTube content, etc., etc., etc. But you can't just play Valheim for a couple hours. Like, you have to organize and do item management for like an hour for every hour you play. Like, even with these quality of life mods, it's still like, holy shit, it's a fucking pain. Like, to be honest, I definitely, I understand better why players get frustrated with the item management. And it makes me wonder if maybe this is part of the reason that players stop. Like, because if you look at the sheer amount of time you have to spend putting things in boxes, it's like a huge portion of the time spent. You know what I mean? Hey, Fish. I hope you're doing well, man. Are you at work? I'm spoiled right now. I got this, I'm at work, I guess, but work pays me nothing. I work all day and I don't earn anything. But I get to play Valheim, so that's fun. Although, I can't, like, just play normally, which is kind of frustrating sometimes. Sometimes I just want to be able to just, like, play and not worry about everything else, but that's not my life, so I gotta deal with this. But it does start to make sense, right? I mean, I definitely, like, when I make a game, I see how problematic the item management can get. And, right, like, one of the reasons it's problematic on Enigma is because you get everything, like, earlier on in the game. You get all the different kinds of woods and everything, right? And it's like, damn, now I gotta spend, like, a whole time organizing everything. And, like, all I was trying to do is just get the item drops off the floor, right? Because I don't even have, like, an effective organization thing. And I have the nonsense chests, but I can't even use them properly, because if you put the things in the nonsense chest, then you can't use them with craft from chests. So it's like, alright. My solution makes another problem. So this is what I was doing, basically. I was making these windmill things that drop the barley, like, kind of into the kitchen, and then you don't see the windmill as much. I thought that looked pretty cool. Hey, that's awesome. Snazzy makes really cool videos. I've been trying to get him to do an interview. I think he'll do it. He seems like genuinely interested. It's just he's super busy doing other things. But at some point, he'll do an interview with me. I want to ask him more about how he goes about making YouTube content. Because I don't want to do what Snazzy does. Like, I mean, he does what he does very well. I want to offer people more, how do I put it? I want to learn from what he does, because he's very able to relate to new players in a way that I tend to struggle with. It's pretty hard for me to keep in mind the beginner's perspective. And that is one of the reasons that I've been trying to just play and do these live streams so that I actually know like what people are experiencing. Because if you just develop all the time, you get really, really disconnected from what people are actually experiencing. And that can be quite problematic, to be honest. And now that I'm seeing like the item management issue, it seems that it basically doesn't matter. Item management isn't a problem in Valheim in the beginning. But then once you get further into the game, you have to spend a lot. You're literally forced to spend a lot of time organizing things, right? And so like now when I redo this kitchen here, that's what I'm going to think about. Because when I make games in the future, I got to figure out how to do items in a way that like doesn't have all of this moving and clicking. I hate it. Like I absolutely hate it. It's the part of Valheim that I really, really dislike. And I didn't used to dislike it. But now that I'm streaming and I'm seeing just the sheer amount of time, like I'll stream and like raid a goblin camp or something, and then I have to come back off stream and spend more time organizing all the loot than I did fighting the goblins. It's like it's overdone, you know what I mean? The correct ratio should be like 1/10. So you can have like an hour of action, and then for that hour of action, you gotta spend, like 6 minutes putting things away or something. And I was exaggerating. It's not like a whole hour for every hour you spend fighting. But it definitely gets intense when you don't already have an effective system. Like this, for example. Not an effective system at all. I thought it was simple. Oh, stamina food's here. Health food's here. We had a magic food chest, but it got destroyed by the locks. But then it's not that simple, because then you have all the uncooked meat ingredients, you have all the uncooked other ingredients, and the other ingredients, and the other ingredients, and then all the other random stuff. It's just so many fucking items. Holy shit. Drives me insane. Alright. I'm gonna stop complaining though, and I'm just gonna start taking stuff apart here. We're gonna go for the jugular and just kind of redo this whole roof thing here. Somebody did this part over here, and I'm gonna go with this design. I think that's cool. I'm just gonna make more of them, basically. So what I'm doing is I'm getting rid of this original roof here. Not really needed. And then we'll make something like this. But before we do that, I need to think about how I want to use everything. Because I want this kitchen to be easy to use and able to produce like a really, really, really large amount of food. Make sense? So, fucking God, I hate I'm so triggered right now by the fucking items. I think I've cursed as much in this one episode today as the entire time of playing before. Like, oh man. Alright, let's get all this stuff. Stop getting so triggered here. And you're right, Fish. Once you have a good organization system set up, then it's not so bad. But like, you gotta get that thing set up in the first place. Definitely. And I kind of did that over here. Like, I made this area. And like, oh, it's got labels, and you put all the fine wood over here, and all the wood over here, and all these things. But it's still like, yeah, it's just a mess. Just a mess, really. Alright. I should probably have a cart. Where's my cart? Here we go. No, it's just a normal cart. Where's an ultra cart? Another normal cart. Gotta be an ultra cart somewhere. Hey, there we go. Of course it's off out of the way, showing I wasn't even using it. Oh, man. Alright, I'm gonna be smart though, and I'm actually the only person on the server right now, which is unusual, but makes perfect sense because I had to, like, frickin' CPR the server to even log into it, right? What we're gonna do here is we're gonna rest. I'm gonna pass the daytime, or pass to the daytime here. La-di-da. I don't even know, how I'm trying to wrap my head around how would you make a game that doesn't have this item management problem? Because if you just look at the first, let's say the first 20 hours of Valheim, it's not a problem. Like the item management thing is fine. But then you have this scaling issue where like the number of items the player can get in the first two biomes, I don't know, let's say it's like 100. Then the game's relatively balanced. But by the time you get to like Mistlands or Ashlands, there's like a fucking 1,000 items. And it's the same system trying to handle all of the items. You don't get more space or anything, right? So it's really like, it makes me wonder, like maybe people are onto something by saying that the item management is like Valheim's biggest problem. Because it might kind of help explain why it is that people leave as the game progresses. I used to take that quite literally. For example, I thought that like people were leaving because they around the swamp because they didn't like the swamp. But maybe one of the reasons people leave is because they just get fed up with this shit. Like, do you guys enjoy seeing me take a bunch of items and put them from one chest into another chest? Like, it's not very amusing. I'm pretty sure people get bored of this kind of stuff. Although, I don't know, maybe I'm just bitching, and this is the negative space that then makes making a satisfying organization system feel worth it. You know what I mean? Let's see. So Fish said, so I sort based off activity. Well, what activity gets me those items? Like a Great Orc chest, Swamp chest, and Goblin chest. Oh, that's a good idea. So then it's like the same kinds of items. Yeah, that does make sense. And then Fish says, I feel like it would be empty and not much to work towards later in the game. It would be empty and not much to work towards later in the game. Could you elaborate? What do you mean more by it would be empty and not much to work towards later in the game? Like what would be empty? What alternative are you talking about? Because so far I've just been complaining about how many items there are, to be honest. But I think that's like partially because of streaming. Like it makes you be more aware of when you're doing things that are boring or when you're dying a lot or this kind of thing. And so like you kind of have to play differently, otherwise people really like just don't watch at all. Does that make sense? So it could be that I just want something more exciting, right? But I don't get it, and then I get all fussy. But first, let me make sure that there's actually enough space here logistically before I start setting up a roof or anything. Basically, what I'm going for is a really easy area that you can cook loads of serpent meat really quickly. So this is 4, 8, 16. This is like 32 serpent meat in one go. That's fine. It's kind of squished, so I guess realistically I should center this better. And we can also like redo where everything is placed, right? Make another chest. Oh yeah. Oh, okay, Fish. So just to be clear, I wasn't saying that there should be less items. Like you Valheim needs the items, and the end game is always gonna have loads of items, definitely. I was just more pointing at the fact that item management is very forced on the player. And generally, like, I know that a lot of people think that, like, that's how you have to design games. You force the player to do things. I really don't like doing that. I don't think it's good game design. It's like, it's much more effective to give the player options so they feel organically motivated to do the thing. If you imagine how sailing is in Enigma, it's kind of, that's my attitude with it. In Vanilla Valheim, you're forced to sail. You must sail. You can't walk on foot. You can't do something else. You must sail. And if there's no wind and you're going home, you must spend an extra 30 to 40 minutes for that 10-minute trip for no other benefit at all whatsoever. And like, I think generally, maybe there's not one major issue with Valheim that makes people stop playing. Rather, it's a bunch of little things that compile and add up, and over time, they attrit the player into losing their immersion. So what I was trying to suggest, Fish, I wasn't trying to suggest that there would be less items in Valheim. I was just pointing out that because there are so many items, which is one of the reasons I love the Ashlands, so I definitely don't want less items. Because there are so many items, it's very problematic how much time is spent managing those items later. And a lot of it has to do with very basic design decisions. Like the fact that things like stone, for example, have a stack of 50. If you just doubled the stack size limit of everything to be 100, then suddenly it's easier to manage and it's simplified because you still have your item weight limit, right? But the way that Valheim's item management is set up is very complicated because you have like systems interacting with systems. So like you could have an unlimited inventory with just a weight limit. And that would be fine. That would be totally fine. Like Valheim would not have problems. But Valheim has this like double-edged sword, so to speak, where not only do you have the weight limit, but you also have the inventory slots limit. And as you get more equipment and more armor and more gear, you lose inventory slots. So it's like I get that they like in their heads, it's like a puzzle. You're going to go out on an adventure and you need to make a decision between how much gear you want and how much space. I get that. But like, do you want the player to have to make 100 decisions before every adventure that they go on? You know? Yeah, it's tricky. I deserve that. That was Iron Gate. That was Iron Gate getting me. They were like, we can't have this guy talking shit about our inventory. Oh man. And so Fish said, yeah, sailing sucks sometimes, but I like to whip the boat. Yeah, it's true. I also feel Enigma alleviates item management with the sell mechanic. It gives an incentive to collect and manage. Yeah, you're definitely right, because you can get all the extra stuff and then just toss it to the diverger, right? So it's much more reasonable than in the vanilla game. And there's lots of things that can be done about it. I'm ranting about it because I want to like understand where these things kind of come from. And I think now I have a better sense of it. Where's this goblin? What are you doing? You killed him! You killed the car! Ah, bastard. Uh-oh. Just gonna focus for a moment here. Good thing poison arrows are totally OP in Enigma mode. If you've never noticed that, you can basically poison an enemy once, and then they'll just get like completely wrecked. Like, he's taking 20 damage a tick, right? It's a lot of damage. All right, thanks for the building supplies, Mr. Goblin. You see, and that's a whole other topic. One enemy getting into the base occasionally feels good. It's manageable. You still get the threats without the whole extremeness of raids. Make sense? So I don't regret disabling the raids for Enigma mode. I think that worked out really well. I'm happy with that. But back to the item management. It looks like when you have any kind of game with items, you have to keep in mind the scaling of progression. Because basically, Valheim's item management system is tuned to a certain quantity of items. And this is out of balance with the fact that every biome adds, 30% more items or 20% more items or whatever the actual number is. So then you end up working with a system that's too small for the amount of options you have available. And it's more obvious early on in Enigma purely because you get so many different kinds of resources when you play in Enigma mode. And this makes it so you notice straight away, like, oh, there's a lot of organization I need to do, right? And so there are mods you can use that totally automate that process. One of them in particular automatically stores items you pick up in nearby chests. So honestly, my takeaway is that if you make a game that has inventory management, you have to have a lot of quality of life features built in. And you could make it so those quality of life features are unlocked by progressing in the game, right? Like, for example, imagine if in Valheim it started simple, but then once you kill bone mass, you get craft from chests. And once you kill motor, then you get deposit items into chests from, automatically. Like, you can still work it into the progression. And like, I've noticed some patterns with Iron Gate, and I think in general, they're very afraid. I don't know why. I can't give you any insight into why they're afraid, but they seem to be afraid of changing the game. Like, they don't want to mess it up. I don't know exactly what the origin of that is, but that definitely seems to be something real. So I won't rant about that, though. I want to just get this frame here. I've learned my lessons before with metal, so now we can actually make the frame ahead of time. So that then when I actually build, I can just plop everything into place. Way easier if you do it this way. But I won't actually make this fully yet. I want to make sure that the kitchen's workflow is outlined. I'm just going to put this kind of roof thing in place so I know where I need to place these roof pieces, if that makes sense. So here we have 1, 2. So that means another arch. 1, 2. Does that look right? Boom. There would be another one there, there. Yeah, I think that's right. So now we just need to go out one more. And I guess it won't even need that top piece, but that's okay. This should be good. I think after I place these, that'll be the entire frame for the Growlston. Probably won't even need all these, to be honest, because they give metal support, so you can just kind of put the beams in, and then you can clip the stone into them and put it all together as if it's a wooden roof you can build really quickly. But I don't want to do that yet. I want to make sure I have the general floor space down. So you go into the kitchen, you enter from over here, and when you enter the kitchen, probably you're getting food, right? Because you could be making food, or you could be organizing a building like I am now, or you could be collecting food that's already made and stored to take it somewhere or eat, right? So the first priority should be the food storage. That means that, like, immediately as we enter the kitchen, on the left, we have an area for our edible food. So it's almost like the edible food should be separated from the actual kitchen itself, but not like separate. Make sense? So I think I like this system, but instead of being in the corner here, I want to make it more central. So like you enter, and then like immediately there's this food, right? Maybe it's like they're stacked on top of each other or something. And I could use sideways arrows instead of up and down arrows. Because these chests, for the finished food, one of each is probably fine. But then for all the ingredients, there's loads and loads and loads different ingredients, right? I'm not even sure how I'll do that. Maybe I'll color code it. So it's like these are the red raw ingredients. These are yellow-ish. And then blue. I don't even know, to be honest. Well, I'll figure that part out later. For now, we'll have our little entrance. So we go in, and we have our food to eat. But maybe, to be honest, maybe the food to eat doesn't even need to be right in the main kitchen. Maybe I can make a special area right here that's kind of central that people can just grab their normal foods from. Makes sense? So in that case, I don't have to use a black metal chest. I could just use these, but I kind of like how these look, to be honest. I also really like how barrels look. So maybe we'll just make some cute little thing here. Let's get rid of some of this grass a little bit. I want it a little bit more centralized, though. I still want some nice grassy vibes. There we go. That'll work. Now let's just pave this a little. Yeah, there we go. All right. Now, let's see. I guess I'll make like a little Grouston platform. Probably a little bit further down, though. Let's go with something like... I know what I need to do. I need a little bit of space here. I'm going to build this, and then I can better kind of clip it. How am I going to do this? Alright, I know what I'll do. I'll do it this way. Bum, 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 bum. Just redo this section afterwards. Probably a smarter idea. Alright. Yeah, so we're going to make this little thing here our little food octagon, so to speak. How would I place it? Ah, okay, I see what to do. So I want to make a little star design. So what I'm going to do is kind of clip them into each other like that. Is that mostly... Yeah, it's good enough. Not perfect, but I'm not fussed. Hey, you want to go? You want to go, Mr. Soul? Okay. Got needle arrows. Ah, I love the new ghosts. They look so cool. Hurrah! Alright. Okay, so now I'm going to do this, and for the basic design, we're going to have 3 barrels, and each barrel will have like an arrow pointing at it saying what it is. Make sense? Or maybe it doesn't even need that. How do I make that obvious? I'll do it like this. Boom. Boom. Then boom. Pretty simple. Now, I guess I can just copy these signs, right? Okay, so they are... The sign is right below the arrow. So, if I want these to be in the right place, I'm going to need to adjust the locations of the signs a bit. No, that's okay. What I'm going to do is kind of place each one out like this. I think this will work if I go like this. And then like that. Then like that. Probably something like that. And then I can just take each sign. There we go. Red arrow. Except let's adjust it a little bit here. So I'm going to enter the string in the chat so I can just see the whole thing. And we need to change this V offset. We're going to make this like 65. That might do it. So now let's see what it looks like. There we go. See, now we get a little arrow. It vanishes if you look at it from a certain angle, but whatever. I think it's fine. So now what we want is we want red, yellow, and eater. So this one, we're going to go with, let's see, the most common ones I'd say are red and yellow. So let's go to this side. And then, oh no, I need to change it to yellow here. So let's change this. Yellow. Boom, good to go. There we go. We got our red, our yellow, and now we just need our purple? Cyan? I don't even know. Let's go with, see if purple works. Purple. Oops. Bum, 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 bum. There we go. Nice. Now we have our 3 little arrow. That looks pretty cool, to be honest. I'm happy with that. I dig it. I dig it. This is going to be our feeding trough. Our Viking feeding trough. Feeding station. Let's make it look a little bit prettier here. First off, I need some light. Bum, bum, bum. Now let's get our grouse done. Gotta trim it up. Trim, trim, trim. Will that look fine? I can just kind of make corners on everything. This will probably help cover up the signs as well. So I need to cover the signs so that the players don't, like, click the sign when they're trying to click the barrel. It's like a usability kind of thing, right? Oh, what am I doing? I'm doubling up. Ah, whatever. Doesn't matter. Just a tiny amount of instances here. Yeah, I'm using the small beams. Oh no, there is no big Grouston beam. That's right. I'm not doubling up. I'm hallucinating. All right, there we go. This looks a little better. Now, I just need some way to kind of clip to hide the signs there. Maybe I can use an ashwood piece. Like just a small ashwood piece. Will that work? Ah, yeah, perfect. I can actually clip them onto the sign itself. So I can use that to just make the signs kind of disappear in a way that doesn't draw attention to the lack of symmetry. There we go. Just cover this up a little bit. Then maybe one more in the middle just for good measure. There we go. Yeah, nice. Now we only see the barrel's hitboxes, see? Okay. That's looking pretty good. Pretty good. Let's see, maybe I need... I've been making fancier light posts recently, actually. So let's place another fancy light post right... Flint? Flint? Am I tripping? No, someone must have played... Flint doesn't normally spawn in the plains, right? Am I tripping? Someone must have placed that. I feel like it's only normally in the coastlines of the meadows, but maybe I'm tripping and I don't know what I'm talking about. Alright, here we go though. I'm gonna make a little lamppost. This was inspired by one of the live streams. Someone showed me a trick. I think it was Smoothitis. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What's that noise? I hear goblins goblining. Some suspicious red over there. I'm gonna ignore that though. All right, let's stay on target here. We need our little. Where's our fancy thing? I need the fancy raven head thing. My brain. Ah, yeah, miscellaneous. There we go. We're looking for this one. And then I'm going to actually take it the other direction. So I'm going to put this here just for placement's sake. All right, now, there we go. That's what I'm going for. I want to make it so it kind of fits better, right? And then we're just going to add a lamp. Can I make... Oh, I just need to be near the blackboards. Do I want that? Or do I want, like, a proper brazier? I could make it like an actual brazier, but... Oh, you can, like, clip it up into the... Whoa, you can put it, like, on the bird's beak. Let's see if this burns the thing down. I think it might actually burn the piece, but we'll try it. Let's get some light that way. Oh, yep. It's already burning the thing down. How do I do that again? Ah, yeah. I think that's just because of how close it was. So maybe if we just do it further away like this, might be fine. Let's see how it is. Gonna catch fire? Nah, but then it blocks this thing. Alright, let's, what was I doing? Ah, I remember what I was doing before. I was using the sconce. That's right. Yeah, this one will work. This will catch fire. There we go. Now we get a little bit of light. Funny how different the light looks, right? Like, that's red, but it shows up as black because of the rendering. I guess I'll need to pay attention to where the light comes from, right? What happens if I take something like this torch? I just make a torch like here. Yeah, now the red has its color again. I guess that's alright. Could just have it be like a torch on each side or something. Use a bunch of resin, but whatever. Cool. Alright. That's good enough for me for now. Now what I'm going to do is basically get the food out of these chests and start placing it over there. Ah, yeah, there's a take all button. Thank goodness. Take all, place stacks. Hooray! Alright, there is our stamina chest. That's all done. Now let's look at our food chest here. Boobity boobity boo. Bum 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 bum. Place stacks. Boom. Place stacks. Boom. Got all this food. I'm just gonna put all the food, even my food, in there. Should be good. Now we need... Oh yeah, the eat your food one doesn't really matter as much, does it? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we have our actual cooked food spots. They're here. And probably this is enough for now. Especially, it's pretty much just me playing at the moment, so I don't think this area will be super popular. Usually when you start a new playthrough, people join and then they play a bunch for the first month. Maybe the first like 2 weeks. And then after that, people stop, they get bored. So probably it'll be like that until I bring more people to the server somehow by releasing a new patch or making some videos or doing something like that. Not that the server is just me. Plenty of other people are playing. They play more than I do. I'm just saying that probably this area doesn't need to have a bunch of food for a bunch of people. It's probably just going to be me messing around, experimenting with this village for a while. But alright. So we have all of our ovens over here. They're accessible, kind of central. There's definitely plenty of ovens. And then we go back and then we have this kind of area here for the windmills. I don't really like that I have to go around. Normally I like it when you can enter something in 2 ways, right? So like you could go around, but probably would rework this a little bit in order to flip that. Actually, I guess what I could do is just put the blast furnace somewhere else, but I'm not going to worry about that for now. For now, let's focus on working on this kitchen here. Should probably put up some temporary lighting. Let's just go with, I'll just go with some basic torches. Okay, so these cross things won't be here. The ovens are alright. I don't really like how this kind of goes off into the corner here. I'd rather it was more flat. So maybe the ovens can go into this space over here. I think probably that's better. And then this can turn into some kind of entrance or something. Yeah, there we go. So we're just going to take these and we're going to extend the floor. Because I want it to feel good to use. And I noticed, like, the way this is, having more of these works because you make the other thing. So this area is fine. But then this is a little bit too crowded. Also, this table being here, it's probably not necessary. And then these two ovens as well, we're going to change it so they are going to be right here instead. Pretty simple, right? That way there's still this kind of entrance to this outdoor area, but it's going to be like underneath this part. You'll see what I mean when you see what I mean. What? What is it? It's the tree? The tree's in the way? Just barely. I guess I can just move it to the side a little bit. Maybe I can get away with that. What do you mean I don't have 20 stone? Lame. Now I do. Alright. So that's the snap pot spot. So can I clip two ovens if one's slightly into each other? Will it work? Yeah, I'd say that's fine. Oh, need the stone though. Yeah, here you go. I probably filled this up with stone, didn't I? Yep. Oh, that would be nice. If anyone knows a craft from chest mod that actually works with like extended item spaces, that would be really cool. One of the reasons I get frustrated is because I love craft from chest, but I can only use it in certain situations. I can't use it as much as I want to. I love these birch trees though. I'm trying not to get rid of them. I'm gonna like work them into the design somehow. I like this like window area to the outside, and then you can get killed by a death mosquito while you're cooking. You know, it's good stuff. Good stuff. All right, now that's a little bit better. We have our ovens over there, over here as well. It looks a little weird that there's 3 on one side, and then just there. I guess 5 is the normal amount of ovens though, because that makes 20, so that's 1 stack of whatever you're cooking, or 2 stacks. So I guess that's fine. I'll just deal with the asymmetry. Not too worried about it. Alright, what do we have here? A bunch of nonsense, of course. Of course I have a bunch of nonsense. What else would I have? Only nonsense here. Only nonsense. Let's get all this stuff. Get it off the ground. La-di-da-di-da. Bum 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 bum. Ba-da-ba-bum bum. Awesome. That's good, that's good, that's good. Okay. So the center area is going to have all of that roasting space, but I'm wondering maybe I should make the kitchen in general just more spacious. Because right now, it's from like here to here. I don't know though, maybe that's fine. Because I got to figure out if I want the hearths. There's going to be 4 of these. And then it's designed so you can walk through the middle of it and then harvest the serpent meat, right? So probably these should be central, basically, like something like this. I'll just put them here for the show of how much space they take up, right? You want to be able to go all the way around them in all 4 directions. And then also go through it like this, right? And then to make stuff in the oven, you make it here, put it in the oven. So then it makes me wonder why. Why did I do this? Oh, I remember. It's because I had a thing for the cauldron. But I don't want to do it that way. Hey, hello, Lightning Mark Queen. Welcome, welcome. Ah, yeah, you're right. I was playing Fallout 2 last night. Sometimes I stream on Twitch. I do like if I'm playing a game and I don't want to narrate and I just want to play a game that no one will watch. But for some reason, it's like more fun to stream even if I'm not, yeah, doing it. But I don't do that on YouTube. So sometimes I'll play like random stuff on Twitch that no one cares about, like when I play Fallout. So I must have forgotten to change it. All good. All good. I have very, very little following on Twitch, so I'm not too concerned about it, to be honest. Thanks for watching, by the way. Let me know if you have any questions about anything. I'm happy to help in any way. I think this will look a bit better if each table is like centered under the thing that makes the barley flour. There we go. Yeah, that looks a bit better. Then you get the barley flour, and then you can use the barley flour to make the thing, and then you go over to the thing. Okay. But then, where is the cauldron gonna go? Because this is kind of like a central thing, right? So we have our roasting thing, which takes up loads of space, and we could kind of put the cauldrons on the edges of the roaster. You know what I mean? So there could be like a cauldron here, and then 2 rows of roasting, and then a cauldron on the other end. I could do something like that. For now, though, I'm not going to worry about it. What I want to worry about is the actual kind of food storage crafting area. So this whole mess over here. I guess all the ingredients should be kind of near the cauldron. So it could be like the cauldron is central, and then all of the different ingredients are along this wall here, like stored in various chests. And then this is just another way to get into the kitchen, another entrance. I like that. I think that'll work. Oh, you want to see something terrifying? Here you go. You ready? God dang, it's gonna be horrible. Look at all these items. Hooray! I gotta move more items around. Yay! Always. What I've always wanted to do. Alright, let's get rid of all this stuff here. Nice, nice, nice. Alright. What a headache. Don't need these arrows anymore. Get rid of these. That's actually a chest for the outside part. So, Ah, that's cool. That's where you found me, huh? So Lightning Mark Queen says, ah, I know where I knew you. I watched your How to Plan an Epic Endgame base. Haha. That's awesome. I need to make more of those kind of videos, because when I first started making Valheim videos, that was like 3 or 4 years ago. God damn, it's been a long time. 2 or 3 years ago, rather. And after that, I got super concentrated and got into some really, really niche server development management stuff. So now I know a lot about Valheim, but the content I had been making was really unrelatable to most Valheim players, because they want like the basic stuff, right? The early on things in the game. Just like you said, how to find a good spot to pick your base, right? So I've been trying to make more of that kind of video, so hopefully there'll be more relatable content for you coming up. That's why I've been doing things like how carry weight works, you know, doing basic building guides and these kind of things. But I still have a lot to learn. I'm definitely not like, I can build nice things, but I'm not like a super talented builder who can just move really, really, really quickly, if that makes sense. But let's see. What if I made this? Do I want to remove? Here, I know what I'm going to do. May as well just redo everything, to be honest. Need some FUD. Alright, so where's our spacing? We got our food feeding trough here. Does all of our feeding. And then to the left, this is where we're actually entering the cooking area, right? So let's see. Am I actually out of stone, or is this just some horrible conspiracy here? Whoa, did we actually run out of stone? That's crazy. That's crazy. Makes sense though. I mean, look at all these ovens. I've made a bunch of ovens, a bunch of other random things. Yeah, no wonder. See, do I have any other stone here? Stone, stone, nope, nope, nope. Wow, alright. In that case, I guess I will just do some temporary placeholder. I have more grouston than stone. That's a funny predicament. Okay, so this is going to be our kitchen. I guess I could do some kind of thing like this, actually. I kind of like corner exits, to be honest. Or corner entrances. So this could be like the main entrance, basically. You go up, boom, boom. Let's put some, waste a bunch of grouse in here unnecessarily. There we go. This will be our little entrance. And then that way we have a kind of clear shot. We can go that way, or this way, or do our cooking things here. So let's see. For this area to feel open, there needs to be a pretty clear mark here. So basically, I can do stuff behind the bar for storage, but I need to keep this alleyway open, essentially, because all this stuff's going to be gone. And this is probably just going to be like a wall or something. It might not even... Maybe it could just be open, to be honest. I might not even have it that way. It can just have some kind of decorative wall or something. I'll figure that out later. For now, we need a bunch of storage and some preliminary color system. I think I'm going to just do, like, red and, like, yellow and other. That'll probably be good enough. Because most of the stuff, all the meats are red, and then you have like a lot of yellow stuff like honey and onions. I guess honey, onions, carrots. I'll consider all these yellows and oranges, so to speak. And we can use a different symbol, so we'll do the same kind of idea. But the arrow means food that's ready to eat, and I'll do like a circle or something for the other stuff. I guess I'll need like probably like 3 full chests for each category. So that means I need some kind of shelf system that allows me to place 3 full chests. So let's just do a test real quick here. Is 1 meter of space enough? Let's see. Got our black metal chest here. Okay, so I can place 1 of them. 1 above, and then another one. Hey, so it is enough. I didn't know that. That's cool. Okay. Good to know. So now that we know that it fits perfectly in 1 meter, we sort of have to fill this area up. And it looks like that is too close to the entrance, so that was going to block things off a little bit. So it looks like our storage system has to be kind of like in here, but then at the same time we need to be able to actually cook. See what I'm saying? So how do I want to do this? I guess okay, so if I use the far back edge, then we get a little bit of clearance there, right? So I could probably have something like this. And then how does it feel? Let's see, I need to reclaim some stone here. No room in inventory? What do you mean? I got plenty of room. God damn. Alright. how does it feel if we do something like this? Can we easily... Yeah, we just grab... Alright, that's easy to grab the chest, right? Cauldron, chest. Cauldron, chest. Okay. So I think probably can get away with that. Maybe a little bit of protections around the thing there, but I think this will work. Yeah, just for a general sense of the idea, it'll be something like this. Let's center it a little bit better here. Do the same here. It's nice having so much black metal, to be honest. Alright, cool. That's enough for, like, nothing. So we'll need to triple this amount of storage by continuously kind of stacking these on top of each other. Probably I'll be able to do that. No problem. Hey, Crew's here. Oops. Bum bum bum. Alright. Just gonna put this, I guess, like that. 1, 2. That's all I need. Now, I can probably get away with just having sort of like invisible shelving. Let's see if that works. I'll just need to do something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think after I place these, I can probably get rid of the, like, wooden spacer things. I think. I don't actually remember how it works, to be honest. What I do know is... got plenty of space here. That's funny. I almost always build a ladder, but for some reason, I built a table. I don't know. I've always wondered about the mind, like... Generally, the mind does what it's already done before. But then I find that there's certain moments where I'll just do something in a new way or a different way. And, like, I don't even fully understand why. What's going on here? Wait, what changed? Oh, is it the post? Ha! Yeah, it was the post itself. It's okay. I don't think I need the... I don't think I need that as it breaks. I did need it, actually. I see. So it looks like the chests, like... It looks like they kind of clip into themselves. Oh, no. They do lose the support. Okay. I guess I could make, like, a little metal shelf for them or something. That would probably fix it, but... For now, I'm not too worried about it. What? Wait. The black metal chest is flammable? Interesting. Didn't know that. It's okay. That means I'll just have to rework this a little bit. Not too worried about it. We need our wall of black metal storage. It's like inevitable, unfortunately. Alright, let's get this placed. Boom, boom. And then finally... the grand finale. Nice. There we go. Alright, good, 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 good. Got our whole wall of nonsense here. So now let's take some signage. How do I want to do this, I guess? How do I make it so it kind of goes into the ground a little bit? Ah, it needs to be in front of something, right? Okay, so that means that all I need to do is add... some little pieces here. Ah, that would also clip the thing, though. Ooh, I could do it like this. Yeah, there we go. I know what to do. I just need, like, a tiny bit of something to clip the sign onto in the bottom. So we're gonna go like this. And once I actually place the sign, I can remove these things. Not actually, oops. I did it. Yeah, I did it. Funny. Alright. Don't need this one anymore. Definitely need some more lighting. Bum 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 bum. Alright, that's all good. So now let's see what these signs. I should now be... Yeah, there we go. Now I can, like, clip them. Because I want to get the sign really close to the ground so that it doesn't block the hitbox of the actual chest itself. Make sense? So we're going to go with something like... Yeah, just like that's fine. Same thing here. And same thing here. Bum, 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 bum. Nice. Okay. And so now we can take this idea, except... Do I still have it pasted? No, I don't. Bum, bum, bum. Let's get rid of one of these. I'm gonna copy this. Replace it. Bum, 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 bum. There we go. Okay. Now I just need to get a circle symbol real quick from the internets. Alt code symbol circle. Ayo, got a couple options here. Let's see. Let's see which ones of these actually work. Ah, no, I deleted the paste. Silly me. Okay, that one is a normal, like a full circle. What about... What would symbol, like, incomplete? Let's see if this one works. Oh, that one's really tiny. They have a bigger incomplete circle. Hey, that one works. Okay. Cool. So now I'm gonna repeat this again. But what we're gonna do is go like this. And then instead of this arrow, it's the circle. Now I should be able to be like, all right, this is where the meats go. Oh yeah, look at that. All right, except it's not going to be purple. It's going to be other colors. This one is going to be for the meat, so it's going to be red. Oops. Haha. All right. So I want to make it red, right? So that means we're going to go with red. These are the meats, basically, that are uncooked. So I'm just going to use this symbol. This means red to be processed. That means food ready. Make sense? So the arrows are ready to eat. The circle is like ingredients, basically. So that one is red. That means that this one... Sorry, I was just explaining something to Ken. All right. So now we're going for the next ones, and these are like the oranges and yellow. So why don't I go with orange? Actually, that might work. Let's see how it does. Oh no. Way too similar. Okay, I'm gonna make this one orange instead of red. Barely noticeable. But at least that way it's like, oh, maybe it's not the same as the red arrow. But so orange, we can't do that. Okay. I guess we can do yellow then. Kind of have to do yellow, right? Yellow. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, there we go. Yellow. And then this one. This is the one that's kind of a little bit more tricky. I'm just going to go with blue, but it'll also be like green and other things too. So, blue. I guess maybe green. Nah, there's more bluish stuff, so I'm going to go with that. I keep doing that. Huh. I also realize, why is it not shouting what I'm doing with the sign? That's kind of funny. Yeah, it is shouting it because I'm typing it by accident, but it's supposed to do that automatically. Either way, all right, we have our little setup here. We have our, these are our meats, so to speak. These are our other things. I guess I could put, if I really want to be fancy, how would I describe the things, though? Nah, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to start placing things. All right, so now because of our color coding, I should just be able to put yellow goes in here. Blue or red goes in here. Or not blue or red, like green and blue things go in here. And then red things go in here. What is a turnip? Purple, green, red. It seems mostly green. I guess I'm going to throw it with the green stuff. All right. Yeah, now I just have, I turn auto pickup on and I just go to town, right? What? There we go. And like a carrot. A carrot's like meat, right? I mean, it's like red or orange, right? So that's kind of confusing. But whatever. Whatever. I'm just going to put... Carrots are going to be with the yellow things. It is what it is. I'm not too fussed about it. Well, that's definitely... It's a little... I can tell it's a little bit easier on my mind. Because I, like, when I look for colors, I don't have to think about what it actually is, if that makes sense. And I can tell how that makes it easier to pick something. Alright, we got more blue. Lots of blue here. Am I not picking things up? What's going on here? Well, nope. I picked up all the stuff. Alright. Alright, let's find some more. Nonsense. Look at all this nonsense everywhere. I'm just trying to deposit building materials, though. And then barley flour. I guess barley flour should probably have its own space. And they should probably be right here. I could make barrels for them, actually. Yeah, that kind of works, to put them on the wool like this. Yeah, there we go. Bum 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 bum. Nice. Okay. Now, actually, my approach, I'm going to try and get... Let's get rid of all of the building materials. So then, I can just focus on sorting food. So, let's put all this stuff in here. Oh, I shouldn't put it in here. Whatever. Whatever. Seeds. Yeah, rotten meat. Ah, here's some of the other food and stuff, too. Okay, new approach. Dear God. I've seen so many items today, I'm traumatized. Oh, man. Alright. New strategy. These are for all the building materials. Just not making enough chests. That's my problem. Alright, now what do we have here? We got some meat. We have... Oh, what do I do with this? Do I actually make it meat? Or should it be red things? Because raspberries are red. Blood bags are red. Blueberries are blue. I'm going to go with color. It's all just going to be color. So yeah, these are meat, but they're also red things. I think it's just going to be easier that way for now, at least. Bum, 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 bum. Alright. All this nonsense. So much nonsense. Feels nice when the stacking actually stacks. Oh, my brain. I have to make so many decisions. I hate it. I hate it. This is horrible. It's a classic example of something that's... It's not like it's hard to figure things out, right? But I have to have all these items, put them up, figure out where they go, put them up, decide where they go, put the thing. It's like... My brain. So many hundreds of... That must be why it gets frustrating. It's decision fatigue. That's what's happening, isn't it? Never really thought about it in that way before. So do I want to make... Are carrots red then? I mean, they are definitely closer to red. Alright. Carrots are meat now. That's how it is. Just gonna live with it. Oh, alright. We got some things there. Got a nice little bit of sorting. Oh my god, look at this clusterfuck. Are you triggered by seeing all of these icons? I'm definitely triggered. Oh my god. Okay. Calm down. Look at something more peaceful for a moment. I have some magic food. I put the magic food away. I have some stamina food. Put the stamina food away. I also got some bread. Let's put that away. Okay, and then I have meads. I didn't even think about meads. Oh, meads and fermenters and... I guess that's what this area could be. There's definitely the space for it. Well, we'll see. Alright, got all that stuff. Good. Gotta keep doing this over and over and over again. Eventually I'll get where I'm going, I suppose. Now, does cooked serpent meat... I guess I can count that as a food. Hey, you got Bluetooth headphones. Congratulations. Congrats. I'm glad. Bluetooth headsets are really nice. There was a whole phase of my life I didn't use them, and then recently I started to, and they are awesome. Welcome, Fire. Welcome. You haven't missed much. I've just been... Basically, the first 20 minutes, I was troubleshooting. Trying to get the server to turn on. Then I got it to work. And then I've been reorganizing the kitchen and bitching and moaning about how many items there are in a fucking goddamn... My soul hurts. My soul, it burns. So many different colors and categories and like seeds. Where am I putting seeds? I guess seeds go in here, I suppose. God damn. Alright. Seeds, we need some thistle. Thistle going in there. Got your thistle whistle. Now I got a bunch of building supplies. I'll put all these building supplies away. What a mess. What a mess. Alright, boom, boom, boom. Boom. Yeah, mostly what's making it hard to think is all this other stuff. Like monster drops and different things that I just don't really care about right now. Nice. Just, yeah. Dude, that's normally what I do, Fire. I just empty my inventory into a corner, but there's too much. There's too many items. Too many items. Oh man. I'm triggered. I've been triggered all day. All day. Where is my, there we go. Oh, serpent meat. No, that's food. Alright, whatever. It's too heavy for me right now. Alright. That looks a little bit more reasonable to glance at. Look at all this. But now it should be easier. I should just be able to look in, and then I can deposit things like this, right? Yeah, see, I can just keep. There we go. In moments like that, then the inventory management features they have shine, right? Where you can just auto stack it and sort it, right? The thing is, though, I know what I need to do. I need to place like one stack of each thing in each thing. Okay, we got some ooze. Ooze, carrots, that. Okay. Bum, 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 bum. So now... Nice. Progress, progress. Oh, I can feel the relief. Here we go. Finally. Wrestling with these for like, feels like an hour. This hasn't really been that long though. Alright, there we go. Now, mostly this is just building stuff. Just yeet these over here. Bum-ba-dum-ba-dum. I guess I'll just treat cooked serpent meat as if it's a fully ready food, or as if it's an ingredient for a food. I think that's probably the best. Yeah, whereas the cooked lox meat is actually an edible food. Hey, you quit smoking. That's awesome. Smoking cigarettes? I'm always happy when I hear people stopped. My father died of lung cancer, and it was incredibly painful. I watched him die slowly and painfully for like 14 months. So it's always been a bit easier for me to like be like, oh God. But that's mostly just with tobacco, to be honest. I don't think smoking weed's bad. It's bad because it's illegal. But at least from what I've seen, like, I have known people who have really, really bad, unhealthy habits. And, like, the thing that's nice about weed smoking is that it's really not that bad for you. So, like, even if it causes you problems, if you are addicted in the first place, you already have problems. And if you get rid of one problem, you're probably going to make another addiction. So, I know that people say you should never trade an addiction for an addiction, but in all honesty, it's a more realistic way for you to get off of an unhealthy addiction by replacing it continuously with less unhealthy addictions over and over again until you find that you have an addiction to something healthy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm addicted to drinking Pinot Leo, which sustains me with nutrition. Like, you know, there's no consequences. It's not a bad thing. It means that I don't need to eat food. Like, so you have to kind of try and replace the bad addictions with addictions that aren't as bad. And that is a complicated process because in America, for example, addiction is rampant. It's absolutely everywhere, but it's widely misunderstood and it's demonized. So they have this mentality that if you're an addict, you have a disease, you're sick. Makes sense? But this is a lie because ultimately addiction is everything in life. Addiction is literally like the human body makes habit with addiction. So like what people refer to as addiction is when you have a problem that's causing you to not be able to do something. And then they call it an addiction. But like technically, there's loads of things that you're addicted to that people don't view as addictions because they're not harmful to you, but you're addicted to them. If you think about it, an addiction is really like anything that you crave for comfort. That's it. So as long as you're able to replace that thing that's giving you comfort with something else that's giving you comfort, that's how you can actually heal over the things, if that makes sense. And I feel you as well, Fish there, because I know that like people people tend to oversimplify things. They'll be like, oh, it's just this. You're on this. There's nicotine in cigarettes, and that's why they get addicted. It's like it's not that simple. Nicotine is a big part of it, but people don't smoke because of nicotine. People smoke because we exist in a time where humans are suffering a lot. They're forced to work all the time, doing things they don't give a shit about, surrounded by hundreds of thousands of other people who also don't give a shit about the lives they're living, and they are perfectly happy to just smoke and drink themselves to death. So you're surrounded by all those people. One of the reasons people smoke is because of the fact that other people smoke. If you see another person light a cigarette, there's a natural desire as a human to want to do what other humans do, right? So when people say it's just nicotine, they are incredibly simplifying the actual mechanisms behind what keeps people addicted to a substance, especially when they don't want to do it anymore. Does that make sense? There's a very specific kind of psychology when somebody's doing something and they don't actually want to do it, versus when people are like, whatever, I don't give a shit. You know? Yeah, and like Fire said, swapping for another addiction, exactly. he stops smoking and his friend eats Jolly Ranchers. Hey, I mean, sugar's bad for you, but mostly in its liquid form. Like, it's funny, actually, because sugar in its liquid form is so bad that you can compare it to alcohol or cigarettes. It's as likely to kill you. Like, people don't realize that, but diabetes kills people more than, like, lung cancer and emphysema. And diabetes is really common and really nasty. And it's absolutely linked to consumption of carbohydrate in general. So, you know, it is a different situation. That's funny, Fish. So you live up to your name. Yeah, that's funny. Actually, I'm one of those people who like, I don't think it's as simple as just how do I put it? Outlawing everything. But there definitely do seem to be certain drugs that like are not as bad for people, like the hallucinogens and weed. And then there's other drugs like opiates that are just like really toxic. And like for me personally, the worst things I've seen in other people is benzos. Like it's crazy what benzos do to people. They just completely fuck them up. They make them forget who they are, what they're doing. They black out. They repeat things that they don't want to do, but they don't remember that they did it, and it's just absolutely horrible. So I'm honestly like, when people have issues with other things, it's like you got to get to the root cause of why you suffer, because like you can try and just stop, but if you're stopping because you're judging yourself and people are shaming you, it's not going to work. Like, I know that people think it's going to work if they just pressure you to stop and they tell you it's bad, but that doesn't work. You have to fix the actual root cause of the problem. So if you have addictions and you sound like you recognize that, you don't want to have an addiction or whatever like that, you have to figure out what it is that's making you do something that hurts you. I know there's this narrative in society that like, oh, there's addictive personalities. No, that's bullshit. If you're addicted, you're suffering and you have problems. And the addiction is a response to that suffering. It's a way to find relief from suffering. And I know this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but I believe a lot of my friends have had really bad addictions. Sometimes they've, almost like literally tried to kill themselves or almost died, gotten in driving accidents, drunk, all this kind of stuff. Hugely problematic. I can tell you that when someone has an addiction, that addiction is serving them. It's protecting them. They don't look at it that way, because of how much societal hate and misunderstanding there is. But if you're addicted because society's fucked up and your life is missing what's necessary for you to really care about your body. Because a human who's happy and loves themselves will not hurt themselves. If you're hurting yourself, it means that you're suffering from something else. And I'm not saying you're suffering with depression. I don't believe in any of that bullshit. Never identify with your suffering. You're fucked the moment you identify with being sick or being ADD or being depressed. You are experiencing a state of mind. And your problems come from how you experienced existence in childhood. So if you want to overcome addictions, it's all about figuring out what makes you feel unsafe and what makes you feel problematic, and then learning habits that give you comfort from these things without doing the thing that really hurts you. Because eventually, and I know this from my own personal experience, I used to not give a shit about anything. I was borderline suicidal. I didn't care about anything. I just threw myself into different situations because I didn't care if I died. Like, literally, I didn't give a shit. I've changed a lot over the years. I've become I care a lot about myself and other people. I'm very loving. Absolutely not like that anymore. But I can tell you that there's a huge shift in consciousness. You get to a point where you cannot hurt yourself anymore. But you have to love yourself. You have to care about yourself. It's just like if you see somebody you love and they pull out a knife and they start trying to stab themselves, you're going to stop them. You know what I mean? You don't want them to hurt themselves. You're going to stop them, right? Like, eventually it gets to a point where you respect yourself enough that you can't move against yourself. But that takes a lot of practice and it takes a lot of time, and you have to be around people who are healthy. How are you going to learn to be healthy if you're only around people who are really unhealthy? You know what I mean? It's a mess. Hey, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I feel you. Like, psychedelics can be very beneficial, but they're beneficial when they're done, like, once a year or, like, maybe once every 6 months or something. And they're done in a certain way, like, with positivity and where you confront your traumas. Like, I'm a person who, like, my father died when I was little. It was really, really crazy. Seeing him suffer, right? I watched him die very painfully. So I saw that when I was like 11 or 12, right? That was like fucked up, obviously. But I had an experience that totally changed my life with the drug. It was mescaline. When I was like 14 or 15, I had some friends told me to try that, and I took mescaline and did that. And I'm not saying mescaline's a magic drug. All hallucinogens are pretty much, they can give you the same kind of impact. But what happened for me is that it made me like confront my own death and everything, and the fact that my father had died and what that meant about my life and everything. And so there's very much in my childhood, there's a before the mescaline trip and an after the mescaline trip. And after the mescaline trip, I was like fully acceptant of the fact that my father had died and all of the suffering. And that's why, like, I can talk to you about the most horrible things about my father dying and how horrible it was, go vividly into detail, and it doesn't make me sad because I don't avoid my trauma. I am my trauma. Makes sense? That's why, like, I can talk about all these things and it doesn't ruin my day, because, like, if sad things make you sad, that means that you haven't confronted your demons. You have to face yourself. But we live in a time that's so distracted, you'll never get a chance to face yourself because you'll be on your phone, you'll be watching videos, you'll be responding to messages and IMs every single day, every minute for the rest of your existence until you die. Therefore, you won't get time to reflect. And that's why in the modern society, the key to healing is doing nothing. Like, literally doing nothing. You have to take breaks in between stimulation. Otherwise, you enter a state I call overstimulation. Most humans in the West exist in the overstimulated state, and they think that that experience is what it means to be human. But it isn't. It's what it means to be chronically overstimulated and stressed. Your mind races, everything's stressful, it's intense, life is really impulsive, it's incredibly hard to have self-control. That's how all humans are when they're constantly on their phone, responding to messages, watching videos, just all the time, constantly. Like if you wake up and you look at your phone, you're fucking yourself up. You cannot do that. I know that everybody does that, but it is really, really bad for the mind. You have to take breaks, even if it's just for like 5 minutes every hour or so. It makes a huge, huge, huge difference. And if you can't sit with yourself, you're gonna basically build up this demon inside you of all of your sadness and resentment and frustration about the world. The more you run, the more powerful that demon gets, the more intense it is. That's why you have to sit with yourself, and you literally have to feel that which makes you suffer. You have to hold it, feel it, really feel it. Once you do that, your life changes forever, and other people won't understand you, because once that has happened, you now see the value in uncomfort, because uncomfort creates comfort. Does that make sense? So like, if you want to better understand my attitude and why I'm able to run the server and have all these philosophies about life, you can think about it that way. Because for me, uncomfort is the negative space that's necessary to make something comfortable. So when I'm uncomfortable in life, I don't think I need to get out of this. I think I need to stay uncomfortable as long as I can, because then it's going to make it so awesome when I get comfort. Does that make sense? It's kind of like when you feel thirsty, your instinct is to drink water to get rid of the thirst. My instinct is to hold it, to let myself get even thirstier, so that then when I drink water, I enjoy it even more. Does that make sense? And I found that that is so much better. Life is so much better when you start to value uncomfort and suffering. Because if you don't value those things, you're going to run away from them forever because you think that they're just a bad thing you have to avoid. But suffering is actually your teacher. It is what will bring you bliss and joy and peace, but you must sit with it. You must confront it. It is not possible to confront your suffering in the back of your head while you play games all day, or while you watch things mindlessly, or while you scroll on TikTok. This grows your suffering. You must stop and let it in. Confront it. That's why in every awesome anime, there's always scenes where the character, goes into the cave and confronts his demons, and it is himself, Or like in Star Wars, where Luke Skywalker goes into the cave and confronts Darth Vader, but really he's confronting his own fear. There's reasons that these narratives are in stories over and over and over and over again, And Fire makes a good point, hating one's life. And because it's not about actually hating your life, it's about hating the way you're forced to live, right? And that's like something that's so important. And obviously for me, it's very easy for me to talk to you this way because I was freed, right? Like I escaped the system. I moved to a country where people treat me really well. I don't need much money. And I can be confident that as long as I earn a couple $100 more a month, I can work on Valheim stuff for years and years and years and years without any problem. But obviously, that's a lot easier for me to say because I can look into the past and talk about how it was. I don't live in it anymore, right? Whereas when you're actually inside the system still, you still have to do things you don't want to do, and you face a lot of pressures from your family to be a certain way, even though they're from a timeline that doesn't exist anymore, right? So it's literally impossible to do what they want, because even if you listen to them, you get different outcomes because we don't live in the 50s anymore. You can't make a life out of a high school diploma in the West. It's irrelevant. Having a high school diploma is nothing. Like, you know, it used to mean something. Now it's like, you have a high school diploma? What the fuck are you doing? Go to college. You know what I mean? It's like irrelevant. And so like our society has become really fucked up. It used to be less fucked up because things were more achievable to the average person. But that's not true anymore because of the way business works. Things got so expensive that like, now you really do need more leverage. You need more money to be able to have time to be able to do the things you need to do to get more money. You know what I mean? So like ultimately, it's not about your skills, it's about luck and circumstance. Are you able to get into the situations that give you the privilege necessary to have a better life? Because the world's not fair. You don't just get to live a better life. You have to get lucky. You have to find a better situation. And in order to find a better situation, then you need the actual circumstance that allows that situation to happen. You know, it's an absolute mess. So I don't blame you guys, definitely. And ultimately, I got lucky. That's how I left. I knew I wanted to leave the US, and I was looking at moving to Thailand or something. But then I got involved with drop shipping, and then I got invited to Nicaragua for something else, and then before I knew it, boom, I was in Nicaragua. Never really looked back, right? But most people don't have that circumstance, you know, and I think a lot of it has to do with, like, you have to understand that most people are not okay. For me, that was a really important lesson, because before I thought that most people were okay. So therefore, something's wrong with me because I'm struggling. But I've come to understand that's not actually what's going on. What's actually going on is most people are really, really suffering and struggling. You just don't see it. They cry themselves to sleep at night and then lie to people about it. You don't know what's going on with your coworkers, because we live in a society in the West that is alienated by trauma. And our society is so babied that the moment you start experiencing trauma, you're not really allowed to speak about it. Yeah, you could talk about it, but doing so comes with a lot of consequences. I found in my life, for example, that generally people are unable to speak about tough things until I open up and I'm like, hey, my dad's dead, I saw this, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes I was suicidal before, blah, blah, blah. Once I'm vulnerable, then suddenly the people feel very comfortable and they start talking. And I can tell you from how many times that I've opened up, it causes other people to really, really open up. So the fact that I talk the way that I do is one of the reasons that I know that people are suffering a lot. I've interviewed over like 200 different people from all over the world. Honestly, closer to like 300. From loads of different cultures. I used to speak to a bunch of Arabic speakers who were trying to drop ship and they didn't know English. But they were so motivated that even though they didn't speak English, they would book a consultation with me to try and learn how to drop ship in broken English. And like, it was impressive. To be honest, it was very impressive. And it showed me that, like, you know, everyone's in a different circumstance. And ultimately, we live in a time that's all about businesses. It's not about people. Not about people at all. So if you're a person who has empathy for other humans, then you're gonna struggle, because that's not the time we live in. We don't live in the time where there's room to be empathetic to other humans. We live in the time where being empathetic to other humans is used as a visual. It's used as a how do I put it? It's an image to sell a product. We are not actually empathetic to other humans, because that means having sympathy for people outside of your nation. That means, as a government, understanding that when you wage proxy wars and overthrow governments, what you end up doing is subjecting hundreds or tens of millions of people to domestic violence, to incest, to rape, other kinds of sexual abuse, and drug addiction. That's what it means to overthrow a government. That's what it means when you hear our government talk about dictators. What we're actually doing is manufacturing human suffering on a vast, grand scale. That's what we do. So you shouldn't be surprised that there's a bunch of people suffering and addicted, and that there's violence, and that people go into schools and shoot them up. Because what we do in reality is peddle violence. That's what we are. We are the manufacturers of the weapons. We are the droppers of the bombs. We are the enablers of many, many horrible, horrible things. So, is it really surprising that our culture suffers? Is it surprising that people die in the streets from preventable drug addiction? Is it surprising that the number one causes of death are things that we purchase? Like, you know? I mean, that's what's crazy about cancer and heart disease, you know? People act like those are random things, but they actually discovered where cancer and heart disease comes from 40 years ago. And guess who discovered it? The people making the products that cause the diseases. And guess what they did? They lied about it. And back then, they were really scared. Because back in the day, the companies that produce these products, and I'm not just talking about like cigarette companies, we're talking about, you know, companies like Monsanto, companies that are behind the big agriculture world that produces the foods that we end up consuming, the companies behind the agricultural waste products that are converted into prepackaged goods for us, etc., etc. They discovered that they were causing cancer and heart disease. And back then, they were terrified that society was going to find out. They were absolutely terrified. This was in the 80s. You know, turns out, though, people don't give a shit. And so now we live in an era where the companies don't care about getting caught, because they actually already got caught decades ago and nothing happened. And so they basically found out that they can get away with poisoning people. It just has to be done in a tasteful manner. So you can't kill people too quickly, because then the government will outlaw the product. That's what happened with trans fats. They were too deadly. So if you ate a lot of trans fat, you could die within like 5 or 10 years of heart disease. Whereas when you don't eat trans fat, it takes like 20, 30 years eating shit to die of heart disease. So there's a sweet spot. They learned that you can poison people, but it has to be done tactfully. And as long as it takes 20 or 30 years for the poison to kick in, it's fine. People will buy it. The government doesn't give a shit. You can even get the government to endorse it so that your product is required by law over safer alternatives. You just need to get a lobby in the right place and put the right money in the right person's pocket at the right time. People think America isn't corrupt. We're actually one of the most corrupt entities in the world because we manufacture our corruption and then export it all over the world, and we invade other nations. We're horrible. We are a huge manufacturer of violence, misguided, named as peace, you know? Welcome, our Sky Voices. You came into a very intense discussion about mental suffering and trauma and the conditions of our society. Probably a bit overwhelming there. I tend to get a little intense, to be honest. That's just kind of how I am. It's all good though. Earlier I was blabbering about problems with item management. And then I got into renovating this kitchen. And now, I'm almost done. Making the roof part, actually. Bum, bum, bum. Oh no, that's backwards. Did I do it too much? 1 second. Bum, bum. No, it's fine. Right? 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, okay, cool. How are you doing, our Sky? What are you up to these days? It's the weekend, right? Are you one of those people who gets to not work on the weekend? Sometimes it's really nice. I'm very lucky now because I get to like play games and do those things. But most of my life I had to work on the weekends. I've been working since I was like 15, something like that. And I have been working weekends since I was 15. Yeah. There was like a 2-year or like a 3-year period of my life where I had like a salaried job and I was working as a carpenter and I worked like 10-hour days and had a house and someone I lived with, blah, 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 blah. Stereotypical life. It wasn't worth it. It made me miserable. And I quit. I got well, actually, realistically, I got super sick. I got like chronic Lyme disease. Couldn't function. Doctors were telling me I was going to be sick for the rest of my life. Blah, 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 blah. Bunch of nonsense. I was just sick from my participation in a fucked up society. As many people are, to be honest. Yeah, exactly. It's just life, right? Alright, let's add a little bit of support here. I think this is going to help. Just make sure I don't lose these suddenly, randomly later. Alright, there we go. We got our roofs here. A little bit intense, but definitely works. Got our shelter. Looks like I can add a little bit more here. So, like, we had enough for just this Grouston roof. And then I'm gonna run out. Oh, thanks. Thanks, our Sky. Yeah, I tend to be nice, but talk about things that are too intense for people, so it makes them feel a bit uncomfortable. Especially because people are just trying to, like, play video games to escape their life sometimes. So then they'll like be like, oh, I'm gonna listen to JP and do some peaceful Valheim stuff. And then, like, JP's ranting about death and violence and horrible things. It's like, you can't escape. It's all good, though. For me, personally, I think it's important. Because if you don't know about these things, and if you don't have, like, a decent relationship with yourself, it's harder to enjoy life, you know what I mean? And I think one of the reasons that people don't enjoy video games as much as they could is because they don't have much experience dealing with harder things in life. So video games are a lot about self-control. The more self-control you have, the more fun you can have in video games. But if you don't have much self-control, then you're gonna end up being in situations where you how do I put it? You do the fastest thing to get the most impulsive reaction, right? And then that's going to give you less enjoyment in the long run than if you take the time to do things slowly, you know? Oh, Arska, you're from the Ukraine, huh? That must be intense. I mean, I've lived in areas that are rough, but actually living in an area where there's war. Are you in the West? Because I know if you're in Ukraine right now, it could be night and day, right? You could be in Ukraine and you live like right next to the border of Poland. And then like, yeah, there's things that can happen, but probably you're all right. Whereas if you're Ukrainian and you're, living in the Donbass and you're not allied with Russians, yeah, there's a big problem, big issues. You know what I mean? So I hope that you're able to be more peaceful then. Ah, you're in Kyiv. Okay. Yeah, you're probably. I mean, that's certainly better off than being in the actual front, right? That must be crazy though. Like, I mean, there's a lot of like press ganging and that kind of thing. So, I mean, that must be intense. There's definitely something about like, but maybe you could tell me how you feel about this. But so like, I lived in the U.S. for a long time, right? And the US, people are very babied from the realities of life in foreign lands. And like if you speak to someone from Lebanon, for example, like they know what's up. They know what it means when you live near a war zone, right? And like you, for example, you live in Ukraine, you understand, like you've had to accept the fact that like there's explosions and you could just blow up. Like you could just be doing your thing and then boom, you're dead, right? Like that's intense. But at the same time, everything gets normal eventually, right? I'm sure you've probably noticed this because the war's been going on for so long that you must have gotten more used to it by now. But humans get used to everything. We literally get used to the craziest of things. Humans are pretty remarkable in that way. But something I've noticed about Americans is they often are incredibly babied about the reality of the rest of the world in a way that makes them suffer. I don't know how to put it, but it's like in America, once you get something, it's really hard to appreciate it unless you're from another country where you were exposed to the violence. You know? Like, but then there's this weird thing in America where people act like, oh, we know we have it best because we're American. And that's this whole other can of worms where it's like, okay, now you think you're just better because you're from a certain country. Like it's a mess, to be honest, an absolute mess. Yeah, finding the humor in this situation is always good. For me personally, it's not about necessarily being funny. It's more about just like being inclusive of people who are having different experiences, And like for me, it broke my heart, to be honest, how when that Russian-Ukrainian war started, I'd love to hear how you feel about this because you're actually in Ukraine, Arsky, but basically, as an American, I know a lot about American history. Too much. Not hundreds of years of history, but I know intimate details about what we've done in foreign lands in Latin America in particular over the past 40 or 50 years. So when the Russo-Ukrainian war started, it broke my heart. Not because of the Russian invasion thing, because I understand that, the Russians invaded. That's real. But the fucked up part about that is that the Americans, my people, we had been baiting the Russians to invade Ukraine for a decade. We had been essentially forcing them. There was this memorandum in like the early 2000s, or yeah, I think it was in like 2008 or something. It was called "Niet means Niet," And basically, the Russian ambassador to the American people was like, look, you cannot have Ukraine in NATO. You absolutely cannot do this. If you do this, we're going to go to war. We will invade. That was said over and over and over again. And the Americans kept pushing it because they wanted the Ukrainians to die. I know this sounds really, really fucked up, but this is what we do. This is what my people, the Americans, this is what we do. We find foreigners who we can trick into fighting for us so they die so we don't have to. So we use Ukraine to attempt to weaken Russia. But ultimately, all we've done is cause Ukrainian people to die. Russia isn't weaker. They're not losing the war. They've become stronger. So all we did was feed them. All we did was make them more powerful. Now Russia is the most powerful army in the world, thanks to the Americans arming the Ukrainians to prompt the Russians to invade, which we would have done as well. And that's the fucked up part. If any nation in the world put an army in Mexico, we would invade Mexico in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat, we would do that. We would invade Mexico just if we believed people were going to place an army in Mexico. We almost destroyed the world because there were some bombs in Cuba, when we already had a bunch of bombs surrounding the Soviet Union. So there's this double standard in American culture where we do things and then other people do the things we claimed, and then we act like they're the ones starting the problem, you know? And so, like, I'd love to, I'll read whatever you say, because it's always interesting hearing from people who are actually in the country, because, like, on one hand, it's a more intimate knowledge about what's happening, but on the other hand, people don't realize how manipulative the American CIA, the Israeli Knesset, or the Israeli intelligence services, and the British MI6 are. Like, these organizations, we make wars. Like, here's what I've read in training documents. So I'm not telling you conspiracies. I'm telling you what we train our people to do, okay? We have a process called making a martyr. This is how it works. You identify somebody who is loved by the people, and you then hire an assassin to kill the person who you are friendly with. You then blame the death on the group of people that you want the locals to rise up against. It's a documented process you can read about. If you want to find the document, the easiest one to find is called Psychological Operations of Guerrilla Warfare. And it was written during the Iran-Contra scandal. And this is what we do. Like, another disgusting thing that we do, and again, training manuals exist, okay? This isn't something we did once or twice. This is something we do constantly, okay? Another thing that we do is we love to find existing tensions. So we flame them up. We're really good at that. So we'll find natives who have been mistreated, and then we rile them up, and we pay others to mistreat them more. We identify sectarian violence and religious violence, and we flame it up. We pour gasoline on the fire. And we play both sides, and then claim that they're the bad guys. We will literally pay people to commit sexual crimes, and then go and talk about how women have no freedom in that country, and we have to go do something about it to save the woman, while we are actually paying people to harm women. It's brutal, absolutely brutal. And I'm not saying that the Russians don't do this. I'm not saying that the Ukraine or the Chinese don't do this. All nations do this. The thing is, no nation was able to do it in the way the United States did. Because after the Soviet Union fell, the US had nobody challenging them. This created an ability to fuck around that never existed in human history. It's called the unipolar moment. Because for a brief period of time, about 40, 50 years, however long it was, there wasn't another superpower. There was only the United States. We don't live in that world anymore. We now live in the world where there is China, Russia, and the United States. The US is a dying superpower. Its power doesn't come from freedom. Its power came from World War II, and the benefits of that have expired. That's why our culture has so many problems now, because we can't get the benefits that our previous generations got by winning the war. So it's very, very messy. And the reason that I emphasize so much on the reason I emphasize this so much in American culture is because the Russians and the Chinese don't have a reputation that allows them to abuse people at the scale that the American culture does. Because the Americans have fostered a lot of propaganda over 40 or 50 years all over the world. So people associate America and the United States with good things like freedom and happy things. This is a weapon. It allows more lying, because if I tell you, oh, Russia invaded because they are evil, you are more likely to believe that. But if I tell you, oh, the United States invaded because they're evil, you're more likely to deny it. That's how strong the propaganda in our modern time is, right? So I'm not saying that the Russians don't make propaganda, and I am fully aware there is absolutely no way I will convince you, as a Ukrainian living in a nation the Russians invaded and are actively killing people right now. I know there's no way I'm going to convince you that Russia isn't as bad as the United States. There's absolutely no way. But it is true. The war that you're seeing wasn't caused by Russia. The war that you're seeing was caused by us. We've been trying to make that war happen for decades. It's part of our policy of marrying American technology with foreign blood. Because we found that if we actually have United States citizens dying, the war ends. Our people don't tolerate it. However, if we have foreign people dying with our weapons, Americans don't give a shit. There could be hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians who die. The Americans don't give a fuck. All they want to do is put some flags in their yard saying how they support defending Ukraine. Hooray, hooray, evil Russians, fuck those Russians. What ends up happening? You get a destroyed country where 2/3 of the people have fled. Like, let's be real here. We wrecked Ukraine. We destroyed it, and we didn't need to. The Russians did not want to invade. They were trying to stop the invasion. But then we overthrew the government. Like, the Maidan coup was done by us. It was led by Victoria Nuland. She is this neocon crazy person. Ugh, fucking hell. Horrible. And, like, the thing about it, man, like, and again, I fully understand. I'm not trying to convince you that Russians are good. Russians are humans, just like Ukrainians are humans. And in someday in the distant future, the Ukrainian and the Russian people will understand how they've been used and tricked into fighting each other. But that day isn't today, you know? And the Russians won't stop because they have to neutralize Ukraine. Because the Americans were building an army and moving missile installations that can threaten the Russians. So, like, when you look at military strategy, it's surprising the Russians didn't invade earlier. Genuinely surprising. The Americans would have invaded, like, way, way before. Way before. But there is this double standard, as I mentioned. Russians equal evil, China equal evil, America equal good. Yay! You know? But it's not actually that simple. It's very, very complicated. And I don't know the details of Ukraine. I'm not going to try and tell you that I know better than you do. What I know is my people. I know what we do. I know what we've done in Latin America. And that's why I'm telling you, this is what we do. We trick foreigners into killing for our benefit. And if it wasn't for the United States pressuring NATO involvement, you wouldn't have war in your country. And if you don't believe me, then there's a couple things in history I can mention. For example, Putin, he tried to join NATO multiple times. Why would that happen? Why would Russia be trying to join NATO? Well, because the Russians viewed themselves as Europeans. But they didn't realize that the Europeans want to kill them. The Europeans are incredibly Russophobic. So I understand that you think that some weapons from the US or whatever are going to help. But it's actually the opposite. The weapons cause your people to die. They cause you to get killed. And we know that, and we make money off of it. We don't care about the Ukrainian people. That's why we're willing to let them die. We don't give a shit about them. That's the reality. If we did, we never would have let this war happen in the first place. We would have stopped it. And even in the beginning, for example, I guess so. So what could you tell me from your perspective, what could have been done differently? Like why did the war start? Because they did go to Kyiv, but when the war started, the Russians didn't invade Ukraine. They did a military parade because they didn't actually want war. So they took all of their fucking tanks and drove down the main road to Kyiv. Do you realize how dumb that is if you're actually invading a country? If you're actually operating out of military doctrine, you do not send columns of tanks down a main highway. That is the stupidest thing you can do because you just lose your vehicles. They get blown up, they get bogged down. It's incredibly easy. The reason the Russians invaded that way is because they wanted the Ukrainians to surrender. They didn't want the war. They wanted that shit to end. But that didn't happen. It did actually work, right? If you know your history, then you know after the Russians surrounded Kyiv, the Ukrainians were going to surrender. They didn't want the war. But then Boris Johnson, that motherfucker from England, flew over and he convinced Zelensky to go to war. He convinced Zelensky to drop the Istanbul peace accords. So that war almost ended. And then the Brits, the English, told Zelensky he would get all the weapons in the world and told him to go to war. And then he ditched the peace agreement. So yeah, the Americans lie a lot about that. A lot about that, right? But if you didn't get weapons, you wouldn't be dead. What are you talking about? The Ukrainians, the reason the Russians are attacking them in the first place is because the Ukrainians are so heavily armed. This is, I know it's unfair, But this is the reality of the great power game. This is how great powers are. They do not behave ethically. None of them do. None of them will. No great power will ever behave ethically because there's no reason for them to. They can just do what they want. So I'm not trying to say that these people are, like, they know better. I'm not trying to say that the Russians didn't kill people. I'm just pointing out that my people cause war in foreign lands, and we've done this so often that now it's not a conspiracy. It is known that we foment coups and wage wars. So I don't mean to disagree. I'm not trying to be that way. I'm just trying to emphasize this because I know, like most Westerners, the way I'm speaking right now is incredibly alienating to anyone who speaks English. I can speak about health care and death and these things. That's one thing. But if I talk about Russians and I'm not filled with hate, that's a problem in the West. It's a big problem. You know? And so could you tell me more about, like, why did the Russians invade Ukraine? Because this is a question in the West people don't want to answer. They don't want to ask that because clearly it's an unprovoked invasion. That's the key word that the propaganda has been emphasizing. Unprovoked, unprovoked, unprovoked. So I'm just asking you, as a Ukrainian person, why do you believe that the Russians invaded your country? And I don't mean in 2014 when they took Crimea. I mean, like, when they invaded and this part of the war started. Why? Just because you're weak? But when the Russians invaded, the Ukrainian army was the second strongest army in the world. It was the biggest army in NATO. It was incredibly powerful. What are you talking about? You weren't weak at all. You were incredibly powerful. So, what do you mean they invaded because you're weak? I don't understand. So the Crimea thing. Okay, let's go back even further. Why did they take Crimea? And I'm not trying to quiz you, by the way. I'm just genuinely asking. I know I can talk too much, and I want to learn from you. Like, I don't really get a chance to talk to someone who's actually in Ukraine about these kind of things. They normally don't tolerate me, to be honest. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, so our sky. When the Russians invaded originally, the Ukrainian army was not weak at all. It was a very serious fighting force. And yeah, maybe they don't have, nuclear bombs and these things, but they were absolutely one of the deadliest fighting forces in Europe. A huge, 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 powerful fighting force. So I'm just saying, you guys were not weak. Absolutely not weak. Maybe in, like, 2008, you know what I mean? But in 2014, the Ukrainian army, or no, in 2021 or 2022, the Ukrainian army was, like, I think the most powerful army in NATO. Like, they had the most members. It's a big, big deal. The other nations don't really have that much power, to be honest. They have, like, power from the United States in the form of missiles and these things. But when it comes to actual standing armies, the Europeans don't have much. And now, of course, the Russians are just totally dominant, I see. So when you say weak, do you mean what do you mean by that exactly? I'm just trying to better understand how you feel. You mean like the way Ukraine responded, they weren't ready to be invaded, so they were weak? Or what do you mean exactly? Weak weapons. So okay, so you mean weak like the missile systems, the really advanced missile systems. Is that what you're talking about? Not like soldiers, but like having missile systems that can shoot a missile to the other side of the world. You know, the Ukrainians didn't have this kind of stuff. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Oof. That's interesting. Yeah, I'll have to research more about Zelensky and his influences on the Ukrainian army. But I'll give you a very quick rundown of my understanding of history. So basically, the Ukrainians have been under the influence of NATO, and they've been trying to get into NATO for a long time, even though NATO itself sort of didn't want that because NATO understood that the Ukrainians can't be in NATO because then Russia will invade Ukraine. That was understood for a long time. Then there were these agreements, the Minsk Accords, because in Ukraine, this is something that the Westerners don't know about usually, but there was shelling in the Donbass. And I know that maybe in Ukraine, this is considered propaganda. It's real. So like there were Russian speakers living in the Donbass, civilians who were shelled by Ukrainian separatists. Like that was real, and that didn't just happen once. That was happening regularly. There was conflict in the Donbass since like 2013, 2014. It's not new, right? That war has been raging for a long time. So they were trying to stop those wars through a series of agreements called the Minsk Accords, M-I-N-S-K. However, the Minsk Accords, okay, the Ukrainians, as far as I know, took them seriously. And as far as I know, the Russians also took them seriously. The problem is that the French and the Americans knew they were fake. And I know that we know they were fake because the president of France, Emmanuel Macron, and also Victoria Nuland, who is the one in charge of the coup from the United States, they both admitted later in public that the Minsk Accords were all fake. And the whole purpose of them was to get a ceasefire to buy the Ukrainians time to build their army to be stronger. So I don't know how to square that. Does that make sense? Because I think you're right. Like, it's totally possible that the Russians could have been paying and financing people to commit crimes against the Russians in Ukraine to justify invading Ukraine. The problem, though, is that doesn't actually match the Russian behavior. I know that Putin is, like, portrayed a certain way in the West, but if you actually listen to his speeches and you listen and you look at his behavior over that period of time, over that decade, he'd been trying to become European. He was not trying to invade. It was the opposite. They were trying to shore up their relationships with the Europeans. They were trying to become part of NATO. So it doesn't really match the narrative. Does that make sense? Like, I'm more willing to believe that the Americans were working with Ukrainian nationalists than I am to believe that the Russians paid separatists to commit those crimes. I think both are possible, don't get me wrong. Powers play both sides. But my point is that in the United States, we have government officials. You may not know about this, but they have come out and they have said that they were faking those peace agreements. And that the whole point was to make the Ukrainian army strong enough to fight the Russians and give the Russians another Afghanistan or give the Russians another Vietnam. Like, that's what our political people are saying. So they've admitted it. They've already come clean. So I think you're right. There definitely must be double side playing. But if you look at who stands to benefit, the Russians didn't think they were going to benefit this much. Like, they came out on top of this. They have a strong economy despite being under sanctions, and they have a very powerful army. But nobody thought that was going to happen. Even the Russians, they literally thought if war were to happen, it would fuck them up. It would cause a lot of problems. And so did the Americans. That's why we wanted to make that war happen. Because we knew we could get the Ukrainians to fight the Russians and weaken the Russians. We have this notion that Russia will be weakened by war. A lot of people thought that way. It didn't turn out to be true. It turned out to be the opposite. We've now made Russia really powerful. It's impossible for Ukraine to beat Russia. And it was impossible from day one. And it's so impossible that there's even quotes from Obama. This is from like 2008, where he literally says, the worst thing we can do is to give the Ukrainians the idea that they could stand against a continental superpower such as Russia. So in the 2000s, the early 2000s, our president was already saying, if we arm Ukraine, the Ukrainians will get killed. They knew this was going to happen, but then they reneged and they changed their mind. And ultimately we have what we have today, right? And like, I question, you say if Ukraine gets more weapons, they're going to survive. But how is that possible? Ukraine's out of soldiers. Like, they're recruiting people who shouldn't be fighting. They've lost a lot of fronts. The front line is collapsing. Like, weapons aren't going to change these things. You know, Russia's going to take the territory they're going to take. Weapons won't change any of that. It just means if the Ukrainians have more weapons, then the Russians might actually go to war. Now, I know that this is unpopular, but the Russians aren't actually at war with Ukraine. There's a reason they call it a special military operation. That's not like just a propaganda term. Being at war means you try and destroy the other nation. Like, when a nation is at war, you destroy everything, not just the front line, not just specific areas, right? And Russia's getting more like that. They're waging a war against the electrical grid in Ukraine, right? They're trying to destroy all of the electrical stuff, even electricity that civilians can access. So I'm not saying they're not doing these things. I'm just saying, like, if you think what's happening now is Russia waging war, like full-blown war, you're misleaded. Russia's being very, very patient compared to the way the United States behaves when the U.S. invades a country. When we invade a country, we blow up every hospital, every water filtration system, every piece of infrastructure related to power and electricity. Boom. We try and do it straight away within the first week or two. So, like, realistically, if the Russians behaved the way the Americans behave, there wouldn't be any hospitals, there wouldn't be any electricity, there wouldn't be any water filtration since week 1. It's very brutal. And I'm not saying they don't kill people. They absolutely do. But it's very interesting to hear a more directly involved opinion because you're actually where they are. You know what I mean? And thank you so much for sticking around. You know, I really do. I appreciate that because I know it's hard to speak about these things or hear someone, and especially someone like me. You know, I live in a different country, so granted, yeah, I live in a country that was like the Americans waged war in Nicaragua, and in 2018 there was a coup here, or a coup attempt. You know, the rest of the world doesn't know about this. They think it's just some organic thing in Nicaragua. It wasn't. It was very much the United States meddling in things that it shouldn't meddle in. You know, it's very messy, very, very messy. No, that's interesting. So, yeah, I hadn't thought that maybe like the Russians don't have as much intelligence access as the Americans do. Yeah, I don't know though, to be honest. As far as I know, the Russians know every single building in Ukraine because it's all like very, like maybe they don't know what's underground. You know what I mean? But like if the Russians wanted to kill Zelensky, he's dead. Like he's not alive because he's escaped them trying to kill him. He's alive because they haven't actually tried to kill Zelensky. Because they like understand basically that doing that would only aid the narrative of who they are. So I'd say it's really unlikely they ever do something like that. But the Russian intelligence service should not be underestimated. They, especially when it comes to like hacking and electro like cyber war and stuff, they are incredibly powerful. They know where things are. They have access to satellite imagery. They don't have the difference between the U.S. and the Russians is that the United States is like that everywhere in the world. So they can look at areas anywhere and get like loads and loads and loads of really high quality video footage from the satellites and everything. Whereas the Russians have more targeted areas that they can look at. So the Russians absolutely see everything in Ukraine. Like, if you go outside and you look up in the sky in Ukraine, the Russians could see you. Like, that's how they find out targets. That's how they figure out what to attack. They have a lot of intelligence. I wouldn't underestimate their intelligence services. Definitely not. But yeah, it is crazy. So what do you think about like? I'm assuming it's fine for you to talk about this because it's here, right? You're not around other people. But, like, what... Do you think Zelensky's helping? Do you think he's... How do you feel about him? Because I've always wondered about that. Because I remember in the beginning, people seemed to really love Zelensky. Like, they made a big deal about him. And in the West, everyone was talking about how great of a leader Zelensky was. But now... the West is ignoring Zelensky. Except the Europeans. Sorry, let me rephrase. The Americans are ignoring Zelensky. But the Europeans are still, like, all gung-ho about Zelensky, as far as I know. But I always get confused about that, because I'm sort of under the impression he was hired because he's an actor, and that he's not really in control. Zelensky is, like the person who people think are in control, but he's not actually in control, right? It's other people. That's the thing I don't know about. I don't know who those other people are. I know there's history and there's certain people, but like in general, they're quite secretive compared to Zelensky's. Like, it's very easy to find information about him, but if you try and find information about the other people, like in his government, it's a lot harder. And then there's like how people get fired for like corruption and stuff all the time. Yeah, I see. So that's a good way to put it. So not able to find a normal person. Is it the country or is it the reality? You know what I mean? Because I think if I remember right, before Zelensky, What happened in the coup exactly? Because Zelensky isn't the person who was put into power. Wait, no, he was. Was he put into power by the coup? I don't remember. I remember there was a president who was pro-Russia, and he was about to lose the election, and then the coup happened, and Zelensky ends up being in power, but I don't actually remember. That's okay. That's what I remember. Because what I remember about, if I remember about Zelensky, didn't he get elected on a platform of peace with Russia? Am I wrong? I'm pretty sure that's how he got elected. But I don't know. I don't remember exactly. Because if I remember right, it works like this. There was a coup. Someone else was placed in power. And then later on, there was an election, and Zelensky won the election. But then Zelensky's term expired, and there have been no elections since then. So I just remember seeing a clip of Zelensky like dropping his pants and doing some kind of comedy sketch. And like he was literally like a comedian, right? And then suddenly he's the president of Ukraine. It's like, wait, what? That's crazy. Yeah, see, I can tell though, you have the attitude that makes more sense though. Because you're like, ah, yeah, this happens, but no one trusts the people, right? No one trusts the leaders. That's what I've noticed about foreigners compared to Americans. Like you can talk to a Russian, and then they'll be like, no one trusts the government. But if you go speak to an American person, there's this kind of vibe of like, I don't know how to put it. How do I explain it? It's like foreigners are more open about that the government is corrupt. Whereas Americans have this way of making it seem like their government isn't corrupt. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, does that make any sense to you? By the way, thanks again for talking. It's been a pleasure getting to chat a little bit with someone. I'm sorry for everyone else. I know I was kitchening, and then I just completely stopped kitchening, and I've been talking to this guy. Yeah, okay, yeah, I saw that. I saw that TV as well, yeah. Yeah, that's so crazy too, to go from a job like that to something else. That's nuts. Yeah, fire. So I think you're right in the sense that like people like you or me or anyone else honestly who's listening to this right now, you're all very tolerant people. You're not normal. Normal Americans don't want to hear this shit. Like they do not want to hear it. They tune out. They go do other stuff. So like I think fire, you're right that like yeah, some of us understand how corrupt the American government is. I don't think the average American actually realizes it. They think that like Trump is the problem, but the government itself isn't. Or they think, you know, Biden is the problem, but the government itself isn't. But like really, like the government itself is corrupt, right? Trump is a figure. He's one of millions. He's one of many. Trump's going to go away. There's going to be another person. It's not going to just clean the government and make it work. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I don't know, to be honest. How do you think it is, RS? And by the way, it's totally fine. I assume people think I'm wrong. I have no problems when someone doesn't disagree with me. I'm not offended. I don't think that I know better. When I talk, I'm just sharing I'm just sharing like how things feel for me in these things, right? Oh, I know, I'm sorry. You were looking for Valheim and you got you got the opposite. Yeah. I feel ya. I feel ya. It's all right. I end up ranting a lot, to be honest, in my live streams. It's in my actual video content, I don't talk about like politics or anything like that. It's definitely something I only do in these live streams for the most part. I even feel iffy when I start, because like there's politics in real life, but then there's also politics in Valheim. Like that's a whole other subject, right? Because people have this sort of attitude that, you know, everything's unified and everybody in Valheim works together. But I haven't actually seen that to be the case. There seems to be a lot of division and fighting amongst the modding community, amongst the developers. There's disagreements and problems, you know what I mean? So ultimately there's drama everywhere, really. Valheim politics. For me it's like practice, because what I think is important is that there's a lot of people in the world and everyone has different cultures and beliefs, and I think it's important to be able to talk to other people about things that are serious without making them feel hated. Does that make sense? Like, that's why, like, yeah, I talk about intense things, but even if you disagree with me, like, I don't want to attack you or anything, you know what I mean? It's like, I just want to be real, and it's hard to be real with people, because they don't want to, they don't want to deal with it, you know what I mean? Now you watch Asmongold, yeah. I like Asmongold as well, to be honest. There's certain things about him that really frustrate me. But in general, I have a lot of respect for him. I think that he's, it's very interesting seeing how he's maturing now as he's older. And it's interesting seeing how he handles, like, political content and these things. But it is definitely, like, I think overall, Asmongold's quite an interesting person. And I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up becoming quite a powerful figure later on in life. Because he's one of the humans in the world with the most following, like, dedicated people who, like, love Asmongold for who he is, not for some fake thing he's doing. You know what I mean? So, like, yeah, it's true. I think he doesn't know what he's talking about when it comes to foreign policy and these things, and he's really ignorant. But ultimately, like, I have a lot of respect for him. And when he talks about video games or streaming or when he's in a good mood, like, he's really funny. Like, he really is. He's a funny guy. And, like, I don't like it when he's being aggressive and being an asshole, but he's not like that as much anymore. He's really softened up these days. I listen to some of his streams sometimes. And it's definitely, like, how Asmongold talks. I would say he's a pretty good representation of many American men. I don't know about American women, but American men, for certain, a lot of them are very similar to Asmongold, I would say. Ooh, nice. I found a spot. No, I feel like I've talked enough, and now I'm like, what about this kitchen? It's organized. I did most of the intense stuff. Maybe Hallow wants to figure out something with the walls. Yeah, so I don't know if I'll ever stream a lot, but I like streaming, and it's an interesting practice, if that makes sense, because you have to get used to multitasking and, like, talking while you're doing other things, right? And that itself is pretty challenging. It can be quite a struggle. But I personally, like, what I really enjoy is developing. That's what I want to do. But, like, when I live stream, it helps me connect with people and learn more about how people play Valheim. And I also get to talk with people like you. I feel like I got a better sense of things. And, like, something I think is cool about about the internet, and especially Valheim, is just how global it is, right? Like right now, for example, people I speak to Russians, I speak to Ukrainians, I speak to people from Vietnam, I speak to people from Nicaragua, well, I'm from Nicaragua, I guess. I speak to people in the United States, in England, in Finland, and it's like, it's so cool how many different kinds of cultures and people play Valheim, from all over the world. Um, it's crazy. Ah, so you saw the video about the lag. Yeah, yeah. The instance lag. I remember that. That's the one where I show a bunch of wolves, right? And yeah, because it's mostly from the AI. It's true. The monsters. They cause a lot of problems. Oh, Hello is not online anymore. Huh. Alright, let's see. What time is it actually? Yeah, 3 hours. I was gonna say, it feels like it's been going on for a while. I've noticed once I start ranting about something, time just flies. Like, holy crap. Definitely. Well, at least here, I like how somehow we managed to make the roof and like the inside stuff, but we haven't made the walls yet, which is really funny. Oh, that's gonna be a problem, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. None of these are gonna grow anymore because I put this roof up here. I guess I'll probably have to rework that design, but I feel like I should probably do something else. I need to make some videos and stuff. I've been streaming for a while now. Looks cool though. I like how the smoke goes into it. Probably something like that, like going down. So I'll be able to get rid of these support pillars later, but we'll see. So our guy says, I think first of all, people get lag from the Unity log and the old force fields. Ah, yeah, I remember those. Yeah, there used to be that error. I think they fixed that in Call to Arms. But if you were near a shield generator, it would throw an error about like the dome generator hit or something. I don't remember exactly what that was about. Something like that. Alright, I guess what I can do now, I'll clear up these. And I'll basically post a little thing in Discord so that if someone wants to finish up this kitchen, then they can do it. Basically, I got most of it, but... So, Arsky, have you ever done the, there's an optimization you can do to make Valheim run better. It's called... What is it called again? One second. Bum, 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 bum. It's like this, you edit your Steam parameter and you add this line and it makes your frame rate better by like 5 or so. What is it though? I'm trying to find the guide. One second. I'll link it to you. It's in, are you in the Valheim World Editing Discord group by chance? Yeah, boot config, that's what it's called. Here we go. Alright, let's copy this. Boom. Alright, can you... RS Sky, are you in Valheim World Editing Discord group? If you are, you can click on this link, and then you get this optimize. It's a guide that shows you how to optimize, like your boot config for Steam, and it helps improve the FPS in general. Let's see. So, if you want to, you could get a copy of the message that it sends you, and then in Valheim World Editing, which is that Discord group I was mentioning, then you can send it, and we can look at it, and maybe I can help figure out what's causing your problem. So if you move near dungeons, you get that lag, huh? That's crazy. Yeah, I've never heard of something caused by the game's dungeons in vanilla. Um, but here, and let me invite you. 1 second, I'll give you an invite link. Just in case you aren't already in the group and you can't click that link. Here you go. I just sent the invite link, so that'll get you into Valheim world editing. And then if you post the error there in the chat, then maybe one of us can help you figure out what's going on. Because that doesn't sound like something normal. So maybe it's caused by a mod or something. Especially if it's only around dungeons. Yeah, if you have a worse PC, it could be that there's a lot of stuff in the dungeon. And so then when you're near the dungeon, it's like loading all the stuff and that's making you lag. But that wouldn't get rid of your, or that wouldn't cause an error to happen. So I'm not sure. I don't know what could be causing the situation you're encountering. Where does this? Oh. Ayo. Nice. Okay. I found the right snap point. I always struggle. I struggle so much with Grouston, to be honest, to find the right snap points. I don't know if I'm just bad at working with Grouston or something, but I'd struggle with that. Ah, I see. So it's a problem on an old world, huh? Yeah, that makes sense. How old is the world? Is it from like years and years ago, or? It could also be like if you ever played with mods, then maybe you joined and the mods messed something up. You know what I mean? It's always hard to tell, though. Because you might be able to fix it by running reset. If you use upgrade world mod, then you might be able to reset the dungeon that's causing the problems, and then it'll like update them to the recent ones and you won't have to deal with it anymore. I don't know though. I guess we'll see. Yeah. That's funny. Well, I hope you can figure it out. Usually if it's an error message, then that's something that like is fixable. Whereas if it's just Valheim running slowly and there's no error message, yeah, it's just Valheim. You know what I mean? I'm happy though. I played Valheim on like a worse computer for a long time, and then like 6 months ago or so, I got a better computer. It's been nice. So what kind of video would you like me to make, R-Sky? Could you tell me in more detail exactly what you mean? I'm happy to make a tutorial, by the way. I love making tutorials in response to things that people ask or what they're curious about, so just let me know. I guess I understand it's about lag, but like what part of the lag? Like lag, error messages in general, the one that you're playing, like what kind? I'm trying to think of like, what would the title of the video be? Does that make sense? How do I frame the video? That's what I'm trying to imagine. I don't even know. Are these pillars even gonna work? I should probably put some metal in them or something. Maybe then they'll actually work. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Ooh, that looks nice. I like it when things actually fit. It's surprising. Yeah, it could be. That's actually a good point. Maybe I should make a video about how to like debug. Like, cause I've made videos about how to figure out what's wrong for a certain problem. But what if you don't know what's wrong? You know what I mean? Like, how do you figure out what's wrong if you don't know where to start, right? Why am I struggling so much to clip this? What the hell? Ah, no, okay, it's like that. Ah, yeah, I was looking at the wrong part of it. Alright, I get it. Boom, boom, boom. Nice. Alright. Wait, did I do that backwards? Ah, yeah, I did. Yeah, I can do that. That makes sense, because I think the last video I made about just general troubleshooting was so old that I actually manually go through a log. Like, I'm not even looking at a console. It's from a long time ago. I don't do things that way anymore. See, I'm wondering, maybe this whole roof over there is just unnecessary. Could be. Do the cauldrons need to be covered? Ah, no, they don't. But if it's raining, then they stop working. That's right. Now I remember. All right. Well, this system, kind of cool. So I guess that means I can get rid of this thing on the left, maybe. Interesting. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. Yeah, that's probably a good one I could make. How to debug problems in Valheim. I guess I could think about it from... Yeah, there's... Debugging itself is like an art, isn't it? Because, like, if you have a server... Like, how is it that I figured out what was going wrong on this server? You know, how do I go about doing that? Etc, etc. Because you have to sort of know what to do when you don't know what to do. Makes sense? You have to know, like, how to figure out what to do. And I can imagine that would be pretty hard for people. Especially because people aren't even used to, like, enabling Devcommands in the first place. That's what I'm like, wondering about with EWP. Because I love EWP. But also at the same time, it's like, damn. People have to learn a lot of little things before they're ready for, like, really scripting. And even if you want to learn EWP, you got to learn the limits of EWP and, like, when it works and when it doesn't work. And that alone is pretty... It's a struggle. It's a challenge, for sure. So that works. I can make a video about that. I got a bunch of videos coming up, actually. The next couple ones are... I put a poll. So the poll shows what the next ones I'm working on are. I don't actually remember, because I like focus on one video at a time. So I just made a video last night, and then I think that publishes tomorrow morning. But I need to get, like, ahead. I need to get, like, a week ahead or something. I'll figure it out eventually. For now, though, I think I'm happy with this. Kitchen definitely needs some work. I don't know how to make the roof look all nicer, but for now, it has a roof. It has a storage system that's got extra space, right? Plenty of extra space. We got roasting. I guess all that I would really need to do is upgrade the cooking things, but this is where I'm kind of wondering, like, maybe right here isn't the best, because then I gotta surround it by all the stuff. I can, like, hang it probably right here, right? That kind of thing. But now, then I have to start placing these things, and then I place them, like, sort of in the way. I guess it doesn't really matter. It's pretty open here, so there's enough space. It's probably fine. But the thing that I actually have to figure out is these things. I completely forgot about the fermenters for mead. but looks like there's space here, so probably I can put them here next time. So I guess that's what I'll do. Next time I will finish the kitchen. But for now, I'm done. I got my political ranting done for the week, so that's all over with. And I ranted about Iron Gate and item management. Yeah, so that's all done. I got that out of my system. Drop ceiling. Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, maybe some like decoration or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. A grouper! I don't know why that fish was there, but... Has Fishmaster been throwing fish around again? It's funny. Alright. Looking good. Alright, awesome. I'll just put all this stuff in here for now. And I'll just post like a basic screenshot in Discord, maybe. Nah. Oh, where's the village located? Oh God. You know, that is a good question because we're kind of stranded here now because there's no more path. So this village is located northeast of Haldor. We got here on the Enigma path, but then I reset the Enigma path. So now we're just stranded here in this village. Yeah. But that's alright. We'll live with it. It's a cute little village. Still at a very reasonable instance count here. We'll see how that goes later on, though. But for now, I'm happy with it. Things look solid. I like this little thing. This is my favorite thing so far, actually. I like how the arrows came out. I don't really know what I'm doing a lot of the time, to be honest. Things just kind of happen. So I'm really amused by these 3 arrows. Then this stuff, I don't know what to do here, but at least we have all of our stuff kind of a place to put all the food. My instinct is that there should be like a... I like it when the cauldron is like in the center of something, if that makes sense. So this, I don't really like how the cauldron's like at the edge here, but maybe it doesn't matter. You know, maybe I put the cauldron like right at the corner and then I put the other things nearby. I don't even know, to be honest. But I'll do a little thing here. I'll make a little... Yeah, the closest... Yeah, I guess I can just look. 1 second. Here. Let me open up a map in Discord. Here we go. Okay. So here you have the an approximation of Path of Magic and the Enigma Seeds. So basically, when... Oh, what's going on there? Nope. Ah, it's being all weird. Alright, there we go. This is fine. So here you have the start of the world, the center. This is where we are right now. I'm like right here. So this Enigma path used to be how you got there, but it now, I think it's like made to like here or something. So it's not, yeah, it's not this Enigma path anymore. So the closest would be North Haldor. Yeah, because Haldor is right here. I'm right here. So I'm not actually that far away from Haldor. It's just I'm in the plains in a nice safe village, and yeah, I'm not sailing around much, let's say. But that's how you get there. Yeah, it's that spot right there. Now we can go back. Woof. Alright, I gotta go. I've been streaming for 3 hours and now I can feel it. My legs are all swollen. My voice hurts. Alright, everybody. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. I would say that to expect something in particular, but to be honest, I just do these live streams so I can interact with you guys and activate the server and experiment a little bit. I'm not expecting it to be some popular live stream. That's why I'm very willing to just talk about whatever comes up. I'm a person who tends to get kind of intense and political. I don't like necessarily talking about politics itself. Normally I avoid that particular subject, but it's a little bit easier for me because I'm not blue or red. So it's easier for me to talk to people because other people tend to argue a lot more, if that makes sense. Like, generally, if you have somebody who likes Trump and someone who doesn't like Trump, they're going to fight. You know what I mean? For me, it's like, Trump's a guy. There's things he does that are horrible. There's things he does that are great. I don't think he's the bane of all evil. I don't think he's a hero. You know what I mean? But a lot of people can't have these kind of discussions. And I think that says a lot about how unhealthy we are as a society. You know? Because isn't, like, democracy about debate? Aren't you supposed to, like, debate amongst each other and then come to an agreement? Like, isn't that what it's supposed to be? You'd think we would know, but we don't. Anyway, thanks for watching. Welcome and bye-bye, Downtown Mojo. You were spared from my ranting. As is everyone else who just showed up. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll be back on Monday, but I've got YouTube videos coming out, and they're all tutorials about Valheim. Actually about Valheim. I see that, I try and talk about stuff. I try and play Valheim, but then I always end up getting distracted by other things. That's how the last live stream started. I was like, today I'm just going to play Valheim. And then I proceed to do the whole vegetation rework and not even play normally. Oh, man. All right. Anyway, have a good one, everyone.